On the first injury report of the week, really good news for the Bills. Tre'Davious White was back on the field for the first time in weeks after suffering a groin injury at the end of training camp / preseason. Trey White was limited yesterday at practice for the Bills. A bunch of other players were limited as well. Greg Rousseau with a knee injury, Dawson Knox with a hip injury, James Cook hamstring, and Brandon Codrington with a knee. A couple other players were on the report as not practicing. That was Taron Johnson with a quad, and then Shaq Thompson, backup linebacker, with hamstring / hand injuries. That's the Bills injury report, the first one for the week of the Jets game. Getting to around the NFL injury updates, the 49ers every day, it seems like it's getting worse and worse on that front. Christian McCaffrey did not practice yesterday with a calf injury, but worse than that, Brock Purdy is unlikely to play this Sunday and could miss multiple weeks, according to his head coach, Kyle Shanahan. If Purdy cannot start this Sunday against the Saints, it'll be Mac Jones who will be at quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. The Barnes Firm Injury Report, brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help, call 1-800-8-MILLION. Couple other notes from around the NFL. Bears wide receiver DJ Moore is going to play this week. He had been dealing with an abdomen injury from Monday Night Football, but he is good to go. No worries on that front. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I said Idiod, not Iliad?
Yeah, you said Idiod.
Oh, I mispronounced. Wow, that was tough. I didn't even realize I did that.
That was like the crowning moment. It really built up to the Idiod.
I really didn't even realize I did that.
Yeah.
It's the Iliad.
Which is going to be a Christopher Nolan movie?
Yeah. They are making it into, oh man, it's going to be, doesn't the long movie annoy you a little bit when they make it like overkill?
The Odyssey is the movie coming out, but yeah.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay.
But that's, yeah.
The length of that movie, I think, is supposed to be like 3.5 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
Like, longer than Oppenheimer, I think I saw at some point.
Okay.
It's going to be like the longest movie ever.
I will.
Probably will be awesome.
Maybe.
Christopher Nolan, you know.
There's
high potential.
That means I'll see it.
There's high potential.
I'll see when he does a movie, I'll go see it. And this Matt Damon and big stars, Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland,
yeah,
Zendaya,
yeah,
Charlize Theron, Emma Thomas, whatever. I'll see it. It comes out in July
of next year.
That's right.
Yeah, July of 2026.
Okay, yeah.
So we got a ways to go.
I don't like when they do that. That shouldn't be allowed. You shouldn't be allowed to announce something a year plus in advance. There should be a 1 year cutoff for when something's announced.
Oh, and this one we've known about for we've known about it for a year.
Yeah, that's right.
It's been like hey, this movie's gonna come out in 2 years. Like, oh, sweet.
Happens with the movies.
Remind me like 3 months before, and then I'll get excited.
Happens with video games. Happens with the Breaking Bad season when they're like, oh yeah, 2.5 years, we're back. What?
That's what are we in the middle of? House of the Dragon is that right now?
Oh, okay.
House of the Dragon, was it a year ago that season wrapped up? And I think we have another year to go until the next season.
Too much time.
Yeah, 2 years in between is not fun.
Should be illegal.
To be fair, production for this movie started in February, and the fact that it's already going to be done next July is kind of crazy. Like that's a quick turnaround time.
The Odyssey.
It's kind of like the Bills Super Bowl. It's like in production. You like that segue? We just don't know if it's 2026, 25,
It was a mid. It was a mid.
It wasn't very
transition.
good. I didn't plan anything like that. Anyway, good morning, Jeremy and Joe. Happy Thursday. We got a game tonight. I found, by the way, yesterday I told you a bunch of the features that Amazon will have.
Yep.
I found an article that shows graphics to all of them. So Amazon tonight with their next-gen StatsCast, you don't have to watch any of this because if you're, don't have Amazon Prime and they're not going to stream the game because you don't care, there you go. That's fine. If you do have it and want to watch the regular broadcast, you can just watch Kirk Herbstreit, Al Michaels. Mm-hmm. But then the additional broadcast, the next-gen StatsCast, Amazon put out a article with all these pictures of what they're going to do, showing how pocket health will work. The quarterback drops back, and you see where the breaks are coming in the offensive line. Feels like that's one you could see anyway, but maybe what that'll highlight is if a power rush is moving the guard back further than it's supposed to, and whatever. Pocket health, an AI-powered graphics package. Path to victory. Here's one where they put it over a Steelers-Ravens game, and it's 4th and 1. And it says, Steelers, if the stop is by 7:24, there are 2 predicted possessions remaining.
Okay.
So they'll tell you, because don't you
how many chances to score you got left?
Yeah, don't you do that math in your head sometimes? Here's one where it's time remaining. With a 3 and out, 1:55 is the predicted time remaining.
Okay.
We could talk about this as some AI-powered model, or it's just as easy as, 40 seconds times 3 and a timeout. We all watch the game and we do that. How much time will be left? They're going to put it on the screen. 1:55 remaining if you force a 3 and out. There's also the victory formation, which is the other side of it. With a 3 and out, there's 1:55 remaining. With a first down, they can kneel out the game. They'll put that on the screen. These are insights that are not even that insightful. They're just
helpful.
Why'd we wait till 2025 to put on the screen a first down ends the game?
Right.
Great idea. Defensive alerts. Predictive AI model that's going to have coverage IDs. That's what they're adding this year. If you watched last year, they would put a circle around a guy they're thinking is going to blitz. And it's always right.
Yeah.
Which is kind of amazing. Coverage ID. You're going to see who's going to drop into zone, man, zone, whatever, in real time before the snap. Prime targets. You see the picture they've got is not just the side-by-side view where the routes look like they're running Madden. Now they've got it from above like a Madden camera. Sky cam kind of deal.
Okay.
And the best one, and the one that they are maybe at risk of overusing, Joe, is the 4-down territory. Because I'm looking at a screenshot where it's the Niners and the Giants. And the Niners have 3rd and 10 from the 11-yard line. And there's the yellow line for a first down at the 1. And then at the 3.5, it says 4-down territory.
That's like where they have to get to where we would recommend going for it.
Yes, which is cool.
That's cool.
The question is, how often will they use that? Because if
every third down,
is every 4th and 1 a go for it? Because if it is, I don't really need 2 lines on the screen for that.
Right.
Is it only
right? Because then that could be confusing if I got a line right next to the first down line. Not confusing, just maybe annoying.
A little bit clunky. In this example. In this example of Niners and Giants of what would be on the screen, it's 3rd and 10 in a scoreless game with 8:53 left in the first quarter. So I don't know that everybody wants 4th down territory on the screen in that scenario.
Yeah.
So even though it might be right, that's something interesting. Field goal target zones. This one to me is the coolest. And I think we've seen a little bit of this with CBS. From time to time, team is driving, they'll show the field goal range in yellow for this distance, green for this distance, and red for this. Anyway, that's all coming tonight for Packers and Commanders.
Does it make you wonder if there are any teams out there right now that are just using all of this?
Oh, it makes me think that there are several teams that are definitely doing exactly this.
Like they have incorporated, like if this AI is predicting on the telecast for us to see what defense, what coverage the defense is in, wouldn't every team in the league want that?
Yes.
If it's like 95% accurate.
Most would.
It's probably more often than a quarterback would be accurate at judging that.
I would guess the Steelers wouldn't want this, but almost everybody else might want this. Maybe the Raiders might not want this. Carroll and Tomlin, a bygone era. No, but one of the things when I tweeted this out, someone wrote to me, boy, that seems like a lot of information that, do I really need all that? And I think, no, actually, I'm sorry. What the person wrote was, coaches are going to see this and get a lot more questions, or coaches are going to feel pressured into going for it and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, no, I think the only thing that changes is that we now have the information that is being radioed into Sean McDermott's headset, right? When it's 3rd and 10 in a situation, I'm sure the Bills have an analytics staff of sorts. There's someone saying, if you get 7 here, it's a go. And McDermott kind of knows that, or Joe Brady would kind of know that.
Right.
If we get 7 yards on this play, it's a strong go for it. Okay, they know that. The difference is now we will know that. And the broadcast will add in those layers. So, you got that, or you got run and stop the run, which might be a part of tonight's broadcast.
Run and stop the run.
It might be that. Packers Commanders.
Hopefully Herb Street's a little more plugged into the league this time, too. Because that's been the biggest complaint about him. There aren't many complaints about the Amazon Prime broadcast. The halftime show crew is awesome, or pregame, halftime, postgame. Whitworth, Fitzpatrick. The two minor complaints generally are Herb Street doesn't sound like he watches the league.
And
sometimes.
Al Michaels sounds asleep.
And that's the other one. They have given him a slate of games where hopefully he's energized by that.
But going back even 2 years ago, there was, he kind of sounds like he's not into this. And he's back again.
He's back again. This is his 40th season. He is 80. So it tends to happen. I think once you get into your 80s, you're not yelling as much about the game. So we'll see what we get on that. Those would be the two that I hope just sound a little bit better. Everything else I love. It also feels like the quality of the picture is always better on Prime Video for some reason. Like just that could be my eyes playing a trick on me, but I love the Prime broadcast. I think they've done a great job with it.
I'm just glad that Thursday football's back. This used to be the joke game of the week.
Oh yeah,
right? Isn't
the Titans Jaguars Bowl?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
the Titans and Jaguars in color rush uniforms is the Thursday joke that lived for a decade. And now, maybe because it's a isolated broadcast and because it's big money, the games are almost all pretty good. Your schedule for the Thursday broadcasts, it's Packers Commanders tonight, which is a great game. Mm-hmm. Bills Dolphins next week. It's one of the reasons I want to talk about all these changes coming to Prime, because if you watch this game on Prime next week, Bills Dolphins next week, I don't know if you think it's a great game, but it's Josh Allen in prime time. Mm-hmm. Then it's Cardinals Seahawks, which is not great, but it's okay.
It's average.
Sure. A lot of divisional matchups. Rams, Niners.
Good.
Great. Eagles, Giants. Half great.
Yeah.
Bengals, Steelers.
Good. Very good.
Chargers, Vikings.
Like that.
Ravens, Dolphins. Broncos, Raiders. Jets, Patriots might be a little bit of a dog. Bills, Texans. Eagles, Bears. Cowboys, Lions, Falcons, Bucks. Seahawks, Rams. Then they've got Christmas, Chiefs and Broncos.
That's good.
And a wild card game. So it's not every game is perfect, but it's far from the Jaguars-Titans Gradient Color Rush Mustard Bowl.
Gradient colored. That is the jersey they would wear, wasn't it? Gradient. You're into gradient though.
I think it can be used well. Yes, I think there's.
It could also be used poorly.
Yes,
like in that circumstance.
Yes, I feel like people in graphic design usually say gradient is always bad, and I do not agree. I think sometimes it can be used well.
They were a quarter away from making the Super Bowl in those things.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. Good, exciting, and tonight it's Commanders and Packers. I mean that's
a great game.
That's awesome. I mean is this who's the Eagles' #1 threat bowl tonight?
Yeah, I think so, because the Lions had a rough week one, and Green Bay.
The Rams I thought could have been that, but man, they just didn't look healthy with Stafford on offense last week. They didn't do much, and then the other team would be Minnesota, but McCarthy doing that in his first year starting seems like a lot, doesn't it?
He was named the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, J.J. McCarthy.
I saw that.
With like 130 yards passing. Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe
was it not a great
140?
was it not a great week for NFC offensive? I mean, he was great in that fourth quarter.
Yep, just like Josh Allen. The two offensive players of the week were they piled it on in the fourth quarter because McCarthy had a great fourth.
But Allen had like 250 yards in the fourth. McCarthy had like 90.
Yeah,
in the fourth quarter. So very two different fourth quarters. He was fine. He was fine. I think fine. by the end of it, but not. Them making the Super Bowl with him in year one would shock you, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's Commanders and it's Packers for me right now, battling who's gonna beat the Eagles, and the Commanders are in the division, so that would be probably worse news for Philadelphia if it were them. So I like this game tonight.
Me too. Excited for it. Fall weather, football on Thursdays.
The world gets introduced to Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt.
That's
tonight.
right. Bill, as he goes by. Bill Krosky. Is it Bill Krosky-Merritt? Or is it just Bill?
No, it's just Bill. It's either Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt or it's Bill.
Okay.
I think it's one of the two.
JCM was right there. He doesn't want JCM? You get a nice three-letter nickname. Those fly. JSN.
Yeah.
MJD. Who's the best? LBJ. The JFK.
Right.
I went right to the Who's three-letter nicknames work.
Well,
RG3. That counts.
Does it?
We're counting it.
Does it?
Yeah.
It's a number.
The cadence of it's the same.
Okay. Yeah. It's a lame. Not lame. It's a lazy nickname though, isn't it? The initials is a lazy nickname.
I guess it means you haven't earned another one.
Hey, what's Kevin Durant's nickname? Let's go with KD.
KD.
Really put a lot of thought into that one.
It might be lazy.
Slim Reaper, always his best nickname.
No, agree to
Much better.
Disagree. So Bills Jets, and on the Jets this week, it'll be interesting. Do you have any more respect for the Jets today than you did 7 days ago? Ask yourself that question, and then I have a follow-up question. If the answer is yes, isn't it only because maybe they can score?
I was going to say yes, and I think that's the reason.
And isn't that the case with any team we're talking about the Bills playing? If they can score, we respect them. If the Jets had lost 3-2, we would laugh at them.
We would laugh at that game. We would laugh at them.
Their defense might be incredible, but we'd say, oh, come on. If you can't score, you can't play with the Bills.
Right.
That's talking about the Chiefs, talking about the Ravens, the Bengals. Why do Bills fans respect the Bengals? They can score.
Yeah.
We respect teams that can score. Baltimore can score.
Yeah.
Anybody else? The Rams? Yeah. The Lions? Okay. The Eagles? Mm-hmm. If you can't score, I don't get out of bed thinking about you ever. And that's the Jets with a big performance on points. I don't know if the Steelers will continue to put up points. They did last week. It's one game. Maybe those two teams are just sloppy, and that game goes into the 60s on the total. But they both scored. And all right. You have my attention for a moment, Justin Fields. You have my attention for a moment, Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. This Jets team, when the Bills have played them, we've seen 17-16 and kick returns, win in overtime, and 22 points is a good day against the Jets. And I kind of expect this game this week to be higher scoring than most Jets games. The Bills can score.
Yeah.
And the Jets, against this Bills defense, they might also be able to put up points. So 1 week in, and I respect them a little bit more just because of the potential there.
I wonder how concerning it'll feel if they can't stop Justin Fields, even though they might be able to. They scored 32 against the Steelers in week one. If they put up 32 again against the Bills, how's that going to feel? Because I respect them more after week one, but I don't respect them enough that it would make me feel okay if the Bills have a bad day on defense on Sunday against the Jets. I feel like this is a quarterback who's got flaws that you should be able to expose. And the Steelers really weren't able to do that much in that game from what I saw. They did a little bit at the end of the game. They got him harried around, and decision-making, processing, the final play where it's fourth down and 4, and he's got a lane to run for the first. He throws it to Garrett Wilson, who's about to get popped, which is exactly what happens, and the ball's out and it's game over. So there's decision-making stuff there with Fields that I'd like to think like that's where your defensive coach is thinking, I know exactly how I'm going to confuse this guy all day.
He's not nearly as good as Lamar in a lot of things that he does.
Right.
But
so like I do respect them more. Some of it is the coach. I like the coach there.
Glenn.
And yeah, like how he sounds about certain things, not everything. Hated the way he sounded about, being offended at the idea that you could pass to win in this league a couple of weeks ago. But they were looking for credibility. They were looking to not be a dumpster fire. They were looking for their version of Vrabel. Vrabel was going to go into New England and clean the place up and make them a professional organization after they were not that last year. And you'd expect Vrabel to do that. I thought the Jets were trying to do the exact same thing with Aaron Glenn, and I think he's probably done that. Like, don't want to go too far with this, but all the Jets players are like fighting the Steelers and Jalen Ramsey on Sunday after cheap shots, and like there were certain things like that all throughout the game where it's like, that looks like a real football team.
Do you think they finish in second in the division? I mean, that's a big glow up for them. They were roundly predicted to finish fourth.
Right.
And 1 week in, are we at least sliding the Jets up to third and maybe fourth? They had, is it even debatable, they had the best opening week performance of the other three, Jets, Patriots, Dolphins?
I think so.
I mean, the Patriots were and the Dolphins were a complete mess.
Yeah. I guess my question would be, is their defense about to be not very good anymore or not great anymore? Because I liked what I saw from Fields and Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall in week 1, but do I expect that offense to be able to carry them week in and week out? I don't know if it'll be that good.
Doesn't Justin Fields always do this, though? Start a season with a little bit of false hope. Last year in Pittsburgh, Fields and the Steelers started 3-0. He beat Atlanta. Okay. He beat Denver. He beat the Chargers. Then he lost a pair.
Then he got benched.
Won a pair. Lost his job.
Yeah.
He lost his job kind of quickly because they go to Russell Wilson. And here he might have more room to kind of just play. But he didn't put up monster numbers in this game against the Steelers. He passed it 22 times for 218. He didn't run all over them. His longest run was 15 yards.
Yeah.
12 carries for 48.
No, it was a run game for them. Yeah. Like a run game with the running back.
That's
Hall.
Right. It was Breece Hall running for them and having a decent day. And Fields, he was a game manager that, QBR was around 80, quarterback rating 120, no picks. He kind of did what he did, got sacked one time. And if I don't know, he just came from Pittsburgh. How much more game manager can you get than what the Steelers used to ask of their quarterbacks? But the Jets, maybe they can find a way to get this thing and be respectable.
Yeah.
They'll play, of course, a third-place schedule, because the Patriots finished in last in that division.
Yeah. Like, do you know, like you asked, like, will this be, more of an offensive game? The last time the Jets scored more than let me put a little bit of a
more than 20 against the Bills.
More than 20 in regulation against the Bills.
Okay, without okay.
There was a punt return touchdown in an overtime game that got them to 22. Last time they scored more than 20
against the Bills.
Against the Bills.
Oh boy.
I'll give you a hint. Sam Darnold was their quarterback.
Okay, the game that they won here in their rookie year, Allen versus Darnold.
Yep.
He threw a late touchdown to win.
Yep, December 9th.
Is that like 20? Is it 24-17? What's the score?
27-23.
Okay.
That's the last time they scored more than 20.
It's Sam Darnold's rookie year.
Yeah, 7 years ago. They play these two teams play twice a year. The last time, and they've actually given the Bills fits.
Yep.
But it's always on the other side of the ball. It's always they have had answers when Saleh was the coach for Josh Allen that nobody else has had. Not that they've scored. Zach Wilson has won games, 20 points, 7 years since they've topped you on that, other than a punt return in overtime past the 4 quarters. So, like, this would be a game where, like, the way they looked in week 1, I could see them putting up 24, 27 points. I mean, the Bills' defense also might not be as good as it's been in most of these years.
I think the Bills' defense might not be as good as years past. The Jets' defense might not be as good as years past. I mean, for Pittsburgh to put up that many points, I mean, it's Rodgers and DK Metcalf and Calvin Austin. It went all right for them in that opener. We'll see. One interesting element to this game is kind of like the Denver playoff game in that they've got Sauce Gardner, and he is apparently going to travel more this year with the team's number 1 receiver.
Yep. Saw a bunch of that in week 1.
Which means he covers who? Josh Palmer?
Coleman.
I don't think the guy on the other side is Brandon Stevens is their other starting corner. And we'll see about Coleman because if Coleman is only getting open against soft zones, then maybe they feel like they can get away with Brandon Stevens over there. That would be my bet. My bet is they put their best corner on Palmer because they think of him as the more dangerous threat to uncover. And they take their chances with Stevens on Palmer or Stevens on Coleman rather, and I bet Coleman wins that matchup enough for the Bills to be happy with it. Well, that's all Coleman has to do. He doesn't have to win every single route, doesn't have to win every single rep. But last year teams were betting I can cover that guy. And what happened in the Baltimore game was a lot of backing off and Coleman taking advantage of those opportunities. I would bet, we'll see, I would bet that they take Sauce Gardner and put him on Palmer. I guess he could also go to Shakir, but I don't think he'd do that either. We'll see. It'll be interesting. When they have a number one corner, we kind of have to ask the question, all right, who do you cover? Where are you going to go? 803-0550. Bills and Jets. I've got great trivia to get you. Very excited for some instant trivia to get to you. It's going to lead to a whole game, be a ton of fun. Sal joins us at 8. Andy Vasquez, who covers the Jets, at 8:30. Our fantastic four-way parlay ahead of a Thursday night game. And whatever else comes along the way. When we return, there's a bit of a, follow-up to the Lamar Jackson incident with a fan. He pushed a fan in the stands late in that game, an incident, and maybe you saw the video. There's been some outcomes on each side from Lamar, from the fan. We'll tell you that story and get some thoughts on that coming up here on WGR. Jeremy and Joe, give us a ring, 803-0550, 1-888-550-2550.
There was some social media debate yesterday on how impressive Coleman's performance was. When you saw what he did, mostly in the fourth quarter, how much credit do you think he should get for the stat line that he put up and the plays he made?
You should get a ton of credit. The conversation on social media, I think, is rooted in separation metrics, right? Mm-hmm. And earned separation versus created separation. I don't think that's important. Keon Coleman's never going to be a dynamic separator. That's not who he is. It's not who he's ever been. But there is a way for him to be effective in this offense, and I think we saw exactly that, where he's able to make good plays on the ball and elevate and play above the rim. And when things break down, Josh Allen can find him. And, boy, there's been so much good with that piece of it. And the scramble drill, you saw, of course, against the Ravens on Sunday night. But even when he came back from injury last year, he made some big plays in the scramble drill against Detroit and even the Jets game as well. So that piece is coming on nicely. And I think you've seen teams willing to kind of give him some one-on-one opportunities, and Keon's able to work back down stem and to the football and find some space, right? I think there's been like a mental improvement from Keon Coleman to feel coverage and get himself into some good spots. And so, no, he's not leaving guys in a blender with route running. He's never going to do that. But that doesn't mean he can't find space, get open, make plays, and present a meaningful target for Josh Allen. I think you saw the best of what he can mean for this Bills offense on Sunday night.
Bills, Jets. And on the Jets this week, it'll be interesting. Do you have any more respect for the Jets today than you did 7 days ago? Ask yourself that question, and then I have a follow-up question. If the answer is yes, isn't it only because maybe they can score?
I was going to say yes, and I think that's the reason.
And isn't that the case with any team we're talking about the Bills playing? If they can score, we respect them. If the Jets had lost 3-2, we would laugh at them.
We would laugh at that game. We would laugh at them.
Their defense might be incredible, but we'd say, oh, come on. If you can't score, you can't play with the Bills.
Right.
That's talking about the Chiefs, talking about the Ravens, the Bengals. Why do Bills fans respect the Bengals? They can score.
Yeah.
We respect teams that can score. Baltimore can score.
Yeah.
Anybody else? The Rams? Yeah. The Lions. Okay. The Eagles. Mm-hmm. If you can't score, I don't get out of bed thinking about you ever. And that's the Jets with a big performance on points. I don't know if the Steelers will continue to put up points. They did last week. It's one game. Maybe those two teams are just sloppy, and that game goes into the 60s on the total. But they both scored. And, all right. You have my attention for a moment, Justin Fields. You have my attention for a moment, Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. This Jets team, when the Bills have played them, we've seen 17-16 and kick returns win in overtime, and 22 points is a good day against the Jets. And I kind of expect this game this week to be higher scoring than most Jets games. The Bills can score.
Yeah.
And the Jets, against this Bills defense, they might also be able to put up points. So 1 week in, and I respect them a little bit more just because of the potential there.
First injury report of the week for both the Bills and the Jets. The Bills got back Tre'Davious White at practice for the first time in weeks. He was limited with his groin injury that has held him out. Also limited Greg Rousseau, knee, James Cook, hamstring, Dawson Knox, hip, and Brandon Codrington, knee. Two Bills were not practicing. Taron Johnson, who has a quad injury, and then backup linebacker Shaq Thompson, who is dealing with a hamstring injury and a hand injury as well. On the Jets side of things, nothing major to look at injury-wise. Their rookie tight end Mason Taylor did not practice on Wednesday with an ankle injury. They had a lineman that was out due to an illness as well, but that was pretty much it. Elsewhere around the NFL, looks like Brock Purdy is going to miss this week and potentially weeks after. Yesterday, Kyle Shanahan said he is unlikely to start against the Saints. It would be Mac Jones if he cannot. They've already lost George Kittle for multiple weeks in San Francisco as well. Christian McCaffrey did not practice on Wednesday with a calf injury. Elsewhere around the NFL, Jonathan Taylor is going to be good to go this week. He had a neck injury from Sunday, but he's fine. He will play. Broncos tight end Evan Ingram got on the field for practice with a calf injury that he picked up in week one. Also, Jalen Waddle, same thing. Left the Dolphins game in week one, but did start his week of practice with a limited practice for Miami. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet Sports headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. And that was the Barnes Firm Injury Report brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help, call 1-800-8-million.
Eric talked to me about it. I believe everyone seen what happened. Don't get me wrong, I didn't try to, it just happened. Like, I got pushed. I'm like, what? I thought I was like outside. I wasn't even thinking about me being out there on the field, but my apologies to that, whoever that was. I don't know who it was. My apologies to him. Like, just chill next time. Just, you can talk trash and stuff, but keep your hands to yourself, man.
Lamar Jackson apologizes to the fan that he pushed in the stands. You saw it during the game on Sunday night. Fan reached over the railing to shove Jackson and DeAndre Hopkins in the middle of that game. He pushed the fan, and ProFootballTalk.com says that Jackson said he's not spoken to the league about any potential discipline, but he has spoken to GM Eric DaCosta. DaCosta has spoken to the league. And then Pro Football Talk says, reports here, the fan has been indefinitely banned from Highmark Stadium and all the league's other stadiums. Mm-hmm. So Lamar pushed back, and the fan got banned for, I don't know about banned for life, but banned indefinitely. Which, yeah, my guess is they reviewed footage and thought that's the right decision. Because if Lamar had unprovoked pushed a fan that did not reach into the field to play,
that would be different.
I feel like there'd be a lot different story here. So, I mean, without...
Or if he had, like, thrown punches or something rather than just shoving back, I think it would be different.
Yeah,
it could have been way worse than it was.
Yeah, I without seeing exactly if the fan was injured or what happened, I know Sal talked about this a little bit. And when you're down there on the field level really close, maybe there's opportunities to reach out and high-five players, or, fans can have the players jump into their seats. But when it comes to the opposing team, don't touch the other guys. Right? Don't touch your guys either. Unless they cross the plane. Let's get a rules analyst on this. Did the player cross the plane of the fans? Just don't touch the players. I feel like that's kind of easy.
Yep.
So banned indefinitely from Highmark Stadium and all the other leagues' stadiums.
Can't even go to a Texans game if you want.
No. 803-0550. So yesterday at Bills practice, McDermott, put it this way, concerned, whatever. He's motivated by what happened in that game against Baltimore. They don't have answers right now for Lamar and for Derrick Henry, and they can't prove that they have answers for Lamar and for Derrick Henry until they play them again. But they can prove their defense is not a complete wet tissue. Mm-hmm. They can prove that they don't give up 8 yards per carry. And they went full pads yesterday after a 60-minute game, where Ed Oliver says full pads on a Wednesday after a 60-minute game where we had to play all 60 minutes is a little challenging. It's trying mentally to get yourself back. You're still kind of hurting. You put on full pads, you go out there and you compete because that's who we are. So an intense practice to make sure that they kind of get it right. Mm-hmm. You were joking earlier in the week that the Syracuse coach was an idiot for having his players run sprints after a win.
Yeah.
I mean, McDermott's not doing that, but a full padded Wednesday practice after a win, he's upset with the defense. Unacceptable performance from the defense.
I guess we'll see how different they look, but no one expects them to be the Bengals defense, right?
No.
Like one of the worst in football?
No, I don't think so.
That is how they looked on Sunday, but we've talked about how that's a bad matchup for them, and it's Derrick Henry, and, you're missing a couple of pieces. I don't think they're going to be like one of the worst defenses in football. I don't think they have the opponents to be one of the worst defenses in football. And that might be clouding this. My question would be, when do we feel like we'll actually know what they are defensively? When will we feel like we have a good grasp on that? Because the Jets, the Dolphins, the Saints, the Patriots, the Falcons. Do I have to wait for the Chief game? How much can they do for people and their confidence in the next 5 games to say, no, that was an aberration, or that's what we are against Baltimore, and we got to get better against Baltimore. But against the league, this is not what we are going to be. Or is it possible that they could be like one of the worst defenses in football? Because last year without the turnovers, they might have been that. How bad would they have been last year on defense if they didn't get turnovers?
They're pretty bad. I mean, especially on third down. I mean, the numbers, the rankings were in the 30s. And
horrible.
Anytime you're ranked in the 30s on anything,
right,
that's horrible.
So, like this year, I guess what I'm asking is, if they are close to the same as what they were on defense last year, but they don't get their turnovers,
and they're in trouble.
How bad is that?
That's pretty bad.
Is that Bengals bad? Is that like bottom 10 bad? Is that bottom 3 bad? Like, it could be really bad, I think.
It could be really good for Josh Allen's statistics.
I mean, it's a great start for his MVP candidacy, 394.
Put up 5,000 yards and 50 total touchdowns if the defense is that bad.
I said before the season, I thought there was no earthly chance that Josh Allen could win MVP for a second year in a row. But if their defense is cooked and he's got to throw for 300 yards every week, a la Burrow, but the Bills make the playoffs and win their division and are like the 1 seed, then, he'll win MVP for a second year in a row. No doubt about it. I don't think they want to be that. I don't know that they'll play offense in a way that exposes that defense. That's one thing that I don't know, some teams, this is Cincinnati. I'm trying to think of other. Dallas maybe is a little bit like this too, but what do you do when you don't trust your defense? How do you play offense? Because the Bills over time have acted like, we'll slow play things and we'll run the ball and we'll burn the clock. What does Cincinnati do? They don't trust their defense, and what do? Air it out. Score 40. And they don't make the playoffs doing that way. If the Bills have a defense that bad, how will they do it? Because I don't think Allen gets to 5,000 yards. I think they probably run the ball a lot to protect their defense.
Maybe. Don't you feel like they are more likely to go into a game like this saying, let's get out in front because we want to. It's different. Baltimore is more pick your poison, right? We say that a lot. The Jets, the Bills are going to want to make them one-dimensional. They're going to want to make them, let's get Fields to drop back. If he only has to drop back 20 times in this game, it's a problem. We want him dropping back 40 times. And the way to get him to drop back 40 times is to score on your first couple possessions, not slow play it, get out in front, make the Jets feel like they have to get away from Breece Hall.
And, I was going to say, even slow him down a little bit. Breece Hall, if you look at his career, some of these are tough because he's played the Bills more than everybody else, but in 4 games against the Bills, he has 48 carries for 308 yards, averaging 6.4 yards per carry. Add in another 134 yards and a touchdown through the air. Of teams he's played multiple times, he's played the Bills about as well as any other team. 6.5 yards per carry. So you're going to want to keep that to around 4, I think, on top of the score effect of it. So it is a good test to see what they are. Was that just Derrick Henry? Because here's another running back that you've struggled with a lot in his career. There were games where I remember coming in injured and would break off a 50-yard run against the Bills. Big explosive plays. And if they're able to keep him in check, maybe we won't feel great about the whole defense for the playoffs and think they stopped the Jets, so I feel good. But if the run defense shows up on Sunday, then that might be one component of the defense that will feel good.
803-0550. Chris and Engel is going to lead us off here. We'll talk about this defense and what they can do to kind of show us they're not this bad. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good.
So I think, if you look at our offense and you break it down, obviously you could arguably say we have the best quarterback in the whole entire NFL. We have an excellent offensive line. We have good receivers, good running backs, and that's on the offense. If you switch it around to the defense, it's hard to say because how good are they? I know Ed Oliver had an excellent game. You got guys like, Rousseau, who can flash time to time, and then you got Bosa, who we'll see what happens. He did some good things, but Bernard and Milano, our safety room, we got, our stud corner and Teron Johnson. So I don't know if defensively they got to work as a cohesive unit because I don't know if we have the talent on defense. I could be wrong. It's one game, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, you are, Chris. Mm-hmm. What I would say is I remember going way, way back. And looking back, this might not have been correct, but way back in the heat of the drought, one thing I used to say was, don't let the New England Patriots give you a full-on identity crisis. And what I meant by that was, here are who the Bills are. They might be respectably good. New England comes in and whomps them 31-3. Okay, that's a different standard. That's not exactly a peer. They're a cut above. And we might want to start doing that with this defense and Baltimore, where whether it was Joe Marino with us yesterday, I saw John Fina talking about this as well, that the way the Bills are built, they are definitely not built to stop Baltimore. They are built to stop teams that pass it a lot, and they invite the run. And Baltimore is a unique monster of a team that says, oh, we would love to. Mm-hmm. And if you invite us to run, we will run right through your face. So that's where the problem comes in. Baltimore didn't even have two of their biggest pieces in the run game in Ricard and Likely, and still the Bills were getting absolutely shredded in the passing game, or in the running game, and the passing game for that matter. So there's an element of it that says, okay, I know that's troubled. Does that mean I have a full-on identity crisis where no one on my defense is good, or which is not what you said, Chris? Like, Oliver played great in this game while they gave up 8 yards per carry, right? Like, that doesn't happen. So it's why this next game might be a perfect test for if they rein in it a little bit. And then the following week, it's Miami. And Miami is not a team you're going to be too worried about running the ball on you. And then it's the Saints. And then it's the Patriots. And now we're kind of back to, all right, regular teams. And let's see how the Bills' defense looks against these regular teams. Now,
because if they struggle against the regular teams, then that's going to not feel great.
If anybody can do whatever they want against this team, which was a little bit of last year. Last year, they got worked.
Yeah.
In multiple games, and they turned it over. 803-0550, 1-888-550-2550. That Baltimore problem is going to come back later, but not for a couple months. You can join us, Jeremy and Joe on WGR. We've got Sal at 8. I've got an incredible instant trivia and fun game to work off of on that. Of course, the Jets have the longest playoff drought in North American sports. Mm-hmm. Anyone else identify with that? Kind of close to that? Got a couple questions about that. Maybe we'll do that next. Jeremy and Joe on WGR. Bills, Jets. And on the Jets this week, it'll be interesting. Do you have any more respect for the Jets today than you did 7 days ago? Ask yourself that question, and then I have a follow-up question. If the answer is yes, isn't it only because maybe they can score?
I was going to say yes, and I think that's the reason.
And isn't that the case with any team we're talking about the Bills playing? If they can score, we respect them. If the Jets had lost 3-2, we would laugh at them.
We would laugh at that game. We would laugh at them.
Their defense might be incredible, but we'd say, oh, come on. If you can't score, you can't play with the Bills.
Right.
That's talking about the Chiefs, talking about the Ravens, the Bengals. Why do Bills fans respect the Bengals? They can score.
Yeah.
We respect teams that can score. Baltimore can score.
Yeah.
Anybody else? The Rams? Yeah. The Lions. Okay. The Eagles. Mm-hmm. If you can't score, I don't get out of bed thinking about you ever. And that's the Jets with a big performance on points. I don't know if the Steelers will continue to put up points. They did last week. It's one game. Maybe those two teams are just sloppy, and that game goes into the 60s on the total. But they both scored. And all right. You have my attention for a moment, Justin Fields. You have my attention for a moment, Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. This Jets team, when the Bills have played them, we've seen 17-16 and kick returns win in overtime, and 22 points is a good day against the Jets. And I kind of expect this game this week to be higher scoring than most Jets games. The Bills can score.
Yeah.
And the Jets, against this Bills defense, they might also be able to put up points. So 1 week in, and I respect them a little bit more just because of the potential there. So yesterday at Bills practice, McDermott, put it this way, concerned, whatever. He's motivated by what happened in that game against Baltimore. They don't have answers right now for Lamar and for Derrick Henry, and they can't prove that they have answers for Lamar and for Derrick Henry until they play them again. But they can prove their defense is not a complete wet tissue. Mm-hmm. They can prove that they don't give up 8 yards per carry. And they went full pads yesterday after a 60-minute game, where Ed Oliver says full pads on a Wednesday after a 60-minute game where we had to play all 60 minutes is a little challenging. It's trying mentally to get yourself back. You're still kind of hurting. You put on full pads, you go out there and you compete because that's who we are. So an intense practice to make sure that they kind of get it right. You were joking earlier in the week that the Syracuse coach was an idiot for having his players run sprints after a win.
Yeah.
I mean, McDermott's not doing that, but a full padded Wednesday practice after a win.
Yeah.
He's upset with the defense. Unacceptable performance from the defense.
We are in a crisis. The global trading system has been upended. Supply chains have been destroyed. McDavid is unsigned. This is not a transition. This is a rupture. As in times like these, you have to draw back in. Remember what you have. Draisaitl, Hyman, Nugent Hopkins. We got to draw on those strengths. We got to draw on those values.
Canada.
That's the Canadian Prime Minister?
Yeah.
Saying that? I think he's leaving.
He's going to leave. Yeah, he's going to leave, isn't he?
He's going to leave, and I am thinking Tampa is going to be the spot. I think he's going to the Lightning.
Cool.
And we're going to have a super team off between the Panthers and the Lightning for the next 5 years.
Sweet.
Yeah, we're in that division.
So now the next thing we have to really do is try to get divisions changed.
Oh, yeah.
So the Jets and the Sabres...
Why are they in the division in the first place?
That's a great question. The Jets and the Sabres had the longest droughts in sports. Who ends it first? When the Jets scored 32 points in a loss, and right now I got a Twitter poll up. The voters are saying the Jets are going to finish in second. Right. Is that a wild card?
At home, nonetheless. They lost.
They lost at home.
To the Steelers.
And
yeah.
The vibes are up, I guess.
I would say the Jets are more likely. I'd say the Jets.
60% in this poll saying Jets finished second in the division. You know who the first person I can remember saying he'd had the Jets in second in the division?
Ooh.
Training camp.
Yeah, someone at training camp.
Mike Catalana.
Yeah,
so
right.
He thought the Jets were finishing in second.
Right. Instead of all this New England helter-skelter, like, oh, they're going to be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. All right. I would say picking the Jets, though, isn't that just week one overreaction?
Maybe.
Like, we're just saying who looked the best in week one, aren't we?
Well, seeing the Jets score into the 30s can be jarring for anybody. They did what? Who did?
Yeah, they don't do that very often.
Jets?
They do not do that very often. Did you see they cut the returner?
They did.
Xavier Gibson, who's the guy who had the punt return against the Bills in overtime. There was a clip from Aaron Glenn. Gibson had fumbled in the game, and Glenn after the game made some comment about like no one fumbles on this team. Like we will hold up that standard. Like there will be consequences to that. And then they cut the guy. So he was serious.
I'm guessing not going to cut Garrett Wilson if he fumbles.
No, that's probably right that they wouldn't do that.
Bills Jets. Let's talk about this defense. Do you feel like they are going to need to add personnel? Sean McDermott's comments when we get back. Play that for you. Got a fun instant trivia for you in the next hour. Sal at 8. Andy Vasquez on the Jets at 8:30. Thursday Night Football on the way. Jeremy and Joe on WGR.
My question would be, when do we feel like we'll actually know what they are defensively? When will we feel like we have a good grasp on that? Because the Jets, the Dolphins, the Saints, the Patriots, the Falcons, do I have to wait for the Chief game? How much can they do for people and their confidence in the next 5 games to say, no, that was an aberration, or that's what we are against Baltimore and we got to get better against Baltimore, but against the league, this is not what we are going to be. Or is it possible that they could be like one of the worst defenses in football? Because last year without the turnovers, they might have been that. How bad would they have been last year on defense if they didn't get turnovers?
They're pretty bad. I mean, especially on third down. I mean, the numbers, the rankings were in the 30s. And
horrible. If they are close to the same as what they were on defense last year, but they don't get their turnovers,
and they're in trouble.
How bad is that?
That's pretty bad.
Is that Bengals bad? Is that like bottom 10 bad? Is that bottom 3 bad? Like, it could be really bad, I think.
It could be really good for Josh Allen's statistics.
I mean, it's a great start for his MVP candidacy, 394.
Put up 5,000 yards and 50 total touchdowns if the defense is that bad.
I said before the season I thought there was no earthly chance that Josh Allen could win MVP for a second year in a row. But if their defense is cooked and he's got to throw for 300 yards every week, a la Burrow, but the Bills make the playoffs and win their division and are like the 1 seed, then he'll win MVP for a second year in a row.
Bills Jets, and on the Jets this week, it'll be interesting. Do you have any more respect for the Jets today than you did 7 days ago? Ask yourself that question, and then I have a follow-up question. If the answer is yes, isn't it only because maybe they can score?
I was going to say yes, and I think that's the reason.
And isn't that the case with any team we're talking about the Bills playing? If they can score, we respect them. If the Jets had lost 3-2, we would laugh at them.
We would laugh at that game. We would laugh at them.
Their defense might be incredible, but we'd say, oh, come on. If you can't score, you can't play with the Bills.
Right.
That's talking about the Chiefs, talking about the Ravens, the Bengals. Why do Bills fans respect the Bengals? They can score.
Yeah.
We respect teams that can score. Baltimore can score.
Yeah.
Anybody else? The Rams? Yeah. The Lions, okay, the Eagles. Mm-hmm. If you can't score, I don't get out of bed thinking about you ever. And that's the Jets with a big performance on points. I don't know if the Steelers will continue to put up points. They did last week. It's one game. Maybe those two teams are just sloppy, and that game goes into the 60s on the total. But they both scored. And, all right. You have my attention for a moment, Justin Fields. You have my attention for a moment, Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. This Jets team, when the Bills have played them, we've seen 17-16 and kick returns win in overtime, and 22 points is a good day against the Jets. And I kind of expect this game this week to be higher scoring than most Jets games. The Bills can score.
Yeah.
And the Jets, against this Bills defense, they might also be able to put up points. So 1 week in, and I respect them a little bit more just because of the potential there.
First practice of the week for the Bills and for the Jets ahead of Sunday in New York. The Bills had Tre'Davious White on the field at practice for the first time in weeks. Good news for him. The Bills had a couple of players that did not practice. That includes Taron Johnson with a quad injury, and then backup linebacker Shaq Thompson with a hamstring injury. Dawson Knox, Brandon Codrington, James Cook, and Greg Rousseau were also all limited. Jets injury report's pretty clean. They had a rookie tight end, Mason Taylor, not practice due to an ankle injury. The Barnes Firm injury report brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help? Call 1-800-8-MILLION. Injuries around the league. More in San Francisco on Brock Purdy. He is not expected to play Sunday against the Saints. Mac Jones would start in his place, and Purdy could miss multiple weeks. George Kittle will miss multiple weeks, and Juwan Jennings should be good to go on Sunday. So that's the update in San Francisco. In Miami, Jalen Waddle, who left Sunday's game, did practice yesterday with a shoulder injury. Their tight end, Darren Waller, who has a hip
It's never just one area or one guy. There was fundamentally some things. There was assignment-wise some things. There were some signs of youth for sure as well. All areas we can improve on and it's all about growth this week for us. And those 3 stops, if we don't get one of those stops, we don't win that game. So I applaud the defense for that. And they've done that over the years and even last year. And so we've got to make sure that this week is hard. This week really needs to be hard for us as a team, even though you win the game. It's too early in the season to this or that. We got to buckle down and get ready for us and how we can improve, and then a really good Jets football team.
Sean McDermott on his defense. Buckled down. Padded practice yesterday. 60-minute game on Sunday. Padded practice, full padded practice on Wednesday. Ed Oliver said that's a challenge. And Oliver also spoke yesterday with the media about the Jets and what they do. We'll talk with Sal Capaccio in an hour. Good morning, Jeremy and Joe. Happy Thursday. You got a Thursday night game tonight, Commanders and Packers. And we're getting ready for Bills and Jets, 1 o'clock on Sunday. Looking at the Jets' opening game against the Steelers, just seeing what I can pick out of here. And one thing they did that, if you're looking for a million different things, right? It's like digging out fossils. What do I see from this game? What's in the data? The Jets had drives of, in this game, 10 plays, 6 plays, 7 plays, 8 plays, end of the half. Then,
pretty good.
3 and out.
Yep.
8 plays, fumble on the kickoff. 12 plays, 3 and then 4. So
yeah,
they stayed on the field. They had a pretty good day offensively against a Steelers team that I guess, we'll see if Pittsburgh's team is not very good this year. But Breece Hall ran well, 19 for 107. Fields, 12 for 48. Braylon Allen, 6 for 9. He didn't do too much. But Fields, 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 passing touchdown. And the Jets, as a team, had nearly 400 yards of offense against Pittsburgh. So, 394 yards of offense to 271 for Pittsburgh. They probably lose only because of a fumbled kick.
A fumbled kick, and then the late game sequence was pretty crazy, where the Steelers get a fluky, the Bills got a break like this too, right? So sometimes you get a bounce go your way and you take advantage. But the Steelers got a play where it went off Metcalf, then it went off Jonnu Smith, and then it bounced right back to Metcalf, who was laying on the ground, just fell to him, and he caught it, and that set them. That was their last play. They had a couple 1-yard plays after that, and then kicked a 60-yard field goal to win it.
Yeah.
So they lost the game to the Steelers, and the Steelers had some offense too. Didn't Rodgers throw 4 touchdowns in that game? But It took a 60-yard field goal off a pretty fluky play at the end of the game for them to lose it. McDermott actually said it yesterday. When I heard McDermott say this, I was kind of like, oh, he doesn't usually say things like that. I don't think he'll get, Steeler fans coming after him. But McDermott said in the press conference yesterday, like, they should have won that game. And how often do you hear that?
They probably feel they should have. Justin Fields averaged more yards per pass than Aaron Rodgers did in that game.
Yep. So I thought they were impressive. The thing that'll be weird about them, though, is if they can't stop people, that is very different than what they've been over recent years. I just point out how they've not scored 20 against the Bills in regulation, more than 20 in 7 years, but they always play the Bills close.
No, they do.
But it's just because they have kept games down. 20-12 type of football games.
I don't know exactly how often it happens where a team fires a coach and then hires the other side of the ball, right? Don't we feel like there's often a pendulum? Yeah. Oh, you had a defensive coach. He got fired. Now we're going to go to the offensive side. Now go back to the defensive side.
Right.
And the Jets just moved on from Robert Saleh, a defensive coach, and went right to Aaron Glenn.
Right.
Which I don't know how often that does happen, but the Jets...
Bills did it.
That's right. From Rex to McDermott.
But you're right. Like more often, I think you see it the other way.
It feels like there's often a player's coach to a disciplinarian. There's always these pendulums swinging, and the Jets stuck with a bit of a defensive identity. And Aaron Glenn, to me, it rings of vibes of, McDermott. Hire a defensive coach who's going to be a good front door to your franchise. The idea is turn the culture around, get things in the longest drought in sports. That's what McDermott had. Of course, they'll have to eventually find a quarterback for that. But one game in for Aaron Glenn, he's preaching accountability, all that stuff. So we'll see how it goes.
He is definitely preaching like, I'm going to be culture guy, right?
Yep.
Like very similar to, I think, what McDermott sounded like or was trying to build when he got here. And I think there are similarities between Glenn here at the outset and maybe what McDermott was when he first got here with the Bills and what he was trying to accomplish.
And Ben Johnson's doing that too. Like both Detroit assistants coming from Dan Campbell, who, right, when we met Dan Campbell, it was all about the kind of culture he was going to build there. Now both these guys have gone to Chicago and New York and are talking a big game in that department as well. I mean, a lot of coaches end up talking that game, but
that's right, they do. But he's by cutting the returner and, telling Rodgers, like, we have no interest in you, like, coming back. You're like, he is putting his money where his mouth is so far.
Right. If you're a Jets fan, how did the Rodgers thing play? You probably feel great about it.
It probably felt great.
You embarrassed that quarterback? Good.
Yeah.
I want to line up behind you right now.
Probably doesn't feel great you lost to him in the first
game.
But
that's right.
But I think how they did it, if I were a Jets fan, I would feel good about that.
They had a 9-point lead in that game. The Steelers scored that touchdown, and then that's when the fumbled kick comes. They had the lead and the ball in the second half.
Right.
Fumbled the kickoff, and that kind of turns the game. Anyway, 803-0550. The one thing I want to know about this defense going forward is whether or not they'll want to add. And yesterday, maybe you're someone that wanted Jabril Peppers from New England, who hit the open market. He signed with the Steelers. And I do not scout football players professionally. I do not watch safeties run in drills and say, this guy can't hack it. Did you see the video of Jabril Peppers in Pittsburgh? He looked like a linebacker. He looked big. He looked slow. And I don't know if the Bills were considering that. They've got other options at safety if they want to go to Cam Lewis, if they're disappointed in how Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop played. They've got some questions to answer, and a couple weeks in, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in, if they don't have their answers against some of these lesser opponents than Baltimore, then maybe by the time we get to the trade deadline, Joe, we're talking about adding XYZ. Chris Capaccio yesterday was endorsing the idea that the Bills should add Jadeveon Clowney.
Saw that. Yeah, he visited in Dallas but didn't sign. Yeah.
Every time he signs somewhere, he does relatively well.
He's like the best journeyman I've seen in a while.
He's got such an odd career, a former number 1 overall pick that never lasts anywhere.
But he kind of produces.
You know who he reminds me of? I'm going to give you a loose comparison, if I may. He's Thomas Vanek. Thomas Vanek, at the end of his career, Thomas Vanek signed everywhere for a year and just scored 20 goals and left.
Yeah. He'd get traded. Wasn't there a thing where he got traded like 4 out of 5 deadlines in a row?
It's always like, how come this guy can't land anywhere? 20 goals.
Right. Clowney, since he left, Houston picks him number 1 overall. He spends 5 years there, right? Since then, so that's 6 seasons. He's played for Seattle, Tennessee, Cleveland, Baltimore, Carolina. So 5 teams in 6 years. And there's a 9-sack season in here. There's a 9.5-sack season in here. There's a 5.5-sack season last year. He's actually, I think, a pretty good run defender. Like I could
5.5, huh?
5.5, but again, like there's run defense stuff with him too.
Sure.
Like I could be talked into Clowney. I don't know that they have any money to give him. So if he wants to just win, that would be nice. If he wants to come for $1 million,
they have the money. They have the room. The question is, do they have, I don't know, the roster spot?
Also, are you okay with your 3rd-round pick not playing all season?
Yes, you have to.
You could be. I'm just saying. Are you good with like that's a? I mean, if he doesn't play in his rookie year, that already feels like a failed pick.
Well, last year's 3rd-round pick, Dwayne Carter, was inactive for a lot of the season,
and we didn't go into the season expecting much.
No,
even before he got hurt.
That's right. So if Landon Jackson does not appear ready and they want another body at that position, like you have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
It might be a little early to make that call, but
right.
Larry in South Florida. Hey, Larry. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. I want to call a couple points. I wanted to talk about McDermott's clock management, which I thought was brilliant. And I called just before 2-3 days before the game, and I brought up preserving the timeouts, and you guys laughed at that. It's football season. So those 3 timeouts that he saved at the end of the game were critical because they were able to save all that clock on that last drive and force Baltimore to punt. And I really hope that, they're talking about that to see just how important that was. And then the clock management on that last drive in the first half, I thought was incredible. So props to McDermott and his staff for prepping that way. I know I give him a hard time a lot. And, our defense did get just destroyed by Henry, and we always do. But, after reflecting, Baltimore's a great team. I mean, to pull that victory out and to just establish what they've established. I know it's only one game, but, you posed the question before your break, what's it going to take for us to, get our confidence back? I believe you guys, I was walking the dog, so I think you guys are talking about the defense.
Yeah.
So here's what I think. Baltimore is an anomaly. I mean, that offense, that team, wow. So, again, you figure after all these years, you figure out a way to stop Henry. Well, we haven't. But, he is unbelievable, and let's see what he does against other defenses. But for moving forward, dominate the team you're supposed to dominate. Dominate the Jets. Dominate the Dolphins. Dominate the Patriots. Dominate New Orleans. And then you're going to go up against the teams that are right up there with you. Cincinnati still scares me, even though the defense is not great. They still scare me. Kansas City, still Kansas City. They have Mahomes. And you got Philly later in the year. But you got Tampa, who's now, highly ranked, 5 or 6?
Their offense has been pretty good. Yeah, Tampa's offense in the Baker era has been really dynamic. And now, Godwin's hurt, but Emeka Egbuka, and if you saw the story on him, he caught a game-winning touchdown, and he called the play, basically. The story on Egbuka was he went back to the huddle and said, throw it to me. I'm beating this guy. I'm going to be open on this play. And they did, and they won the game, which is pretty impressive for a rookie receiver.
Yeah, so just, take care of the teams you need to take care of, and don't beat the Jets by 2 points. Don't give us all, minor heart attacks. Dominate them. And I think part of that domination is to let Josh do what he did in the fourth quarter. Obviously, Brady's got to have balance, and he's got to mix in the run. Otherwise, McDermott, who knows what he'll say to him. But I understand you got to mix in the run, and you got to have some – I would do a lot of play-action pass or just whatever you need to do. But let Josh just open it up. And I think that we take care of ourselves, and we have to worry about the teams like the Tampa Bays, like the Cincinnati's, Phillies, Kansas City's. But you should be able to beat everyone else on your schedule, and you should be able to do it in a pretty dominant fashion. But I really wanted to call to talk about preserving those timeouts. It was magnificent to see. McDermott finally did it, and that clock management I thought was brilliant. So thanks, fellas.
Yeah, thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
They didn't call any Kodaks, right?
All right.
There were no plays worthy of it. It's not a 3rd and 7 with the game's on the line.
No.
They didn't call the timeout right before Baltimore's 3rd down play after the Flowers sweep, which could have been a moment you use one. Could have. Or, sorry.
No, they
did.
They used it on all 3 of those.
They used it because they needed the clock to stop. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right. I'm trying to think of in that case, there's no Kodak moments where you need, I need to get a look at this. It's an important play. Because they were chasing such a lead.
Right.
And Baltimore also, what would timeout have done? Let's see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Running all over us.
Yeah. I heard Mina Kimes say that was the worst play call in the NFL this weekend.
Which one? The third down?
The Zay Flowers jet sweep.
It might have been.
It's like what you did on that play is because he doesn't want to go out of bounds, right? Because the Bills are trying to stop the clock. He doesn't want to risk going out of bounds. By calling that play, you've essentially You've already cut off half the field because of the motion he's coming in on.
Yeah.
Now you've cut off another quarter of the field. Like, he had 1/4 of the field to go to. Like, for that spot, it's like worst play call of the weekend. And what happened? He just laid down.
He
like
did.
It failed from this. All the Bills literally had to do was keep contained, and like he was going to go down.
He accepted. Yeah,
that was bad. That was a bad call.
It's kind of a kneel down, especially when the other two guys running the ball are averaging what per carry? Lamar and or Henry.
Right.
Like, what's a bootleg do there? A play action bootleg with Henry and then Lamar in space against one edge defender.
Yeah. She said they'd been running misdirection all game, and like those 3 plays, they didn't run any of it. Like, they were keeping the Bills, so there was some form of misdirection on a lot of their plays. And that would have been a time where, like, oh, Flowers goes in motion. Hey, Lamar, keep the ball. Right?
Yeah.
And instead, you give it to the receiver, and he's got nowhere to run, basically.
803-0550 if you want to chime in. 1-888-550-2550.
I was very impressed with their execution at the end of that game. Like, you just got to be sharp there. You got to be smart. Know exactly how to play that. And like, don't go into the end zone. Don't hand the ball off and don't hand the ball off and risk it. I mean, like, once you get to the set of downs, don't even give it to a running back. There's been times where like you can even tell the guy, "Hey, don't go in,"
and they just go in. Who was it? Was it Gurley that did that once?
Gurley did that.
Todd Gurley tried to fall down, and
right, because he remembered too late and he went in, right. And I think they lost that game. So, like, just kneel it. Don't be dumb here. Just, like, I loved their execution. Once Coleman went down.
Right.
Once Coleman went down.
Yeah, preserving the timeouts. And the end of the half. The end of the half is well executed. They ran that play in Detroit last year. End of the half.
Like, where the Shakir play or the Kincaid one?
The Kincaid play. The Hail Mary with the tight end cutting across. Like an over route. Like, yeah. They ran that play in Detroit last year. Okay. And I just saw it mocked up against that play. I don't remember the exact scenario if it was exactly the same. Mm-hmm. But, it was well done. I was impressed by the end of half. They needed it. They did.
They ended up needing it.
It's another spot where, not everybody likes to talk about these small clock managements. Larry is calling about that. That's where Baltimore kind of blew it. Baltimore, when they kicked it at the end of the first half, they did not take it all the way down. Mm-hmm. They could have take every single second off the clock, and they didn't. And the Bills got 3 points with 1 second remaining. So, Baltimore, how do they feel? Fine, probably.
They feel like they have a choking problem.
They probably feel like they have a choking problem. The other thing they might wonder is, this is kind of like the Derrick Henry conversation. Should the Bills be worried about every running back because of what Derrick Henry did to them? Should the Ravens be worried about every quarterback because of what Josh Allen did to them? Mm-hmm. Maybe not.
Henry also, by the way, like the caller said, he doesn't always do that to them. He's had a couple of big runs against the Bills, but like there have been times where they kept him in check. Like, I would even qualify the playoff game as keeping him in check. Did he not have a run on Sunday that was for as many yards as he had in the playoff game? They had a game in Tennessee where they held him to like 20 yards. Like, I'm not saying they do it all the time, but they've had a couple of times where they've kept him in the
I would
reins.
say anything they've done against him in Tennessee to me is not relevant.
Okay.
Because what the Ravens have with the two of them back there is different. And it's almost like what you've done against Henry individually and what you've done against Lamar individually no longer matter to me. Mm-hmm. Like, what about the Taron Johnson pick six game? Like, congratulations. You didn't have to worry about Lamar the same way you do when he's pulling the ball out of Derrick Henry's chest. Yeah. Because when he does that, you've already got so many guys keyed on Henry that Lamar naturally gets more space to work with. So it's a tough test. I mean, it's not. We had somebody call
back-to-back games where like you pick pick your poison.
Yeah.
This time Henry went off and Jackson's numbers look pedestrian because they didn't need it. And in the playoff game, Henry's numbers look pedestrian and Jackson went off. So which one do you want? Because it feels like one's going to happen. Which one do you want to have happen?
I guess I would debate whether or not Lamar had pedestrian numbers on Sunday, but whatever. Like I get what you're saying.
You're he didn't throw for 350 yards.
No, he probably could have.
Could he have?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, he was sensational in the game. The throw to Hopkins, he found Flowers whenever he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a Dorian Strong did not give up a single reception when targeted, but he did get lost in coverage, and Flowers got wide open in like a 40-yard game because they ran a trips formation, like a pick play. Anyway, on to the Jets. The Bills won that game.
That's not pick your poison.
The Jets?
No, that's an easy one, isn't it? Keep Fields in the pocket and make him throw. Make him process your defense and pick you apart and see if he can do it.
Of the history of Jets starting quarterbacks that the Bills have played in the last, there's the Josh Allen era.
Okay. They
All
played
right.
Rodgers.
Who do you got?
Rodgers, Zach Wilson.
They lost to Zach Wilson.
They lost to Zach Wilson twice.
It's
unbelievable.
So, before you call Justin Fields easy, they lost to Zach Wilson twice.
Does Zach Wilson have more wins over the Bills than Lamar Jackson does? Or is it tied?
It's tied. I think
2-2.
It's 2-2.
They've played Darnold. They played Mike White because Milano broke him in half.
Mike White.
Is that it?
Joe Flacco.
There's a Flacco Jets game in there somewhere? Okay.
Or at least there's a Flacco appearance.
Okay. Yikes. It's not a great list of quarterbacks. So what are you saying? Like Fields is the second best of those?
I don't know.
Maybe the best?
I don't know yet. I can't just. I mean, I want to see it. I don't necessarily want to call this game easy because I've got my concerns about the Bills' run defense and whether or not the safeties are up for it and the linebackers are up for it. We'll see.
Last year, they were not a bad run defense team. I just want to throw that out there again. Like by DVOA, they were top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were not. That was the strength of their defense, if there was one. Well, getting turnovers was the strength. But other than that, like they were not bad stopping the run last year.
The spread is 6.5. Bills Jets 6.5.
It opened higher than that. They're on the road.
Yep,
they're on the road, so that's why it's not higher, I guess. But it's a pretty healthy number for any team that is on the road.
Meanwhile, the game of the week. And, boy, are we ever going to be invested in this one, I think.
Eagles-Chiefs?
Yeah. Eagles at Chiefs, 425.
0-2.
You're going to wrap up that game, Bills and Jets. What's it going to feel like watching the Bills go 2-0 and then seeing the Chiefs go to 0-2?
They have not been 0-2, I saw, since 2014. It's the year they missed the playoffs, by the way. It'll feel awesome if they go 0-2. If the Bills build a 2-game lead on the Chiefs, like... I'm not going to say I'm not thinking about them for the 1 seed, but I won't be thinking about them much for the 1 seed. I'm already mostly thinking about just Baltimore for the 1 seed, and that's it.
803-0550. When we return, more fun with Player of the Week honors than anyone is allowed to have. I have trivia. I have a game.
Mm-hmm.
Player of the Week honors. Who knew you could have as much fun as we're about to have? That's next. The one thing I want to know about this defense going forward is whether or not they'll want to add. And yesterday, maybe you're someone that wanted Jabril Peppers from New England, who hit the open market. He signed with the Steelers. And I do not scout football players professionally. I do not watch safeties run in drills and say, this guy can't hack it. Did you see the video of Jabril Peppers in Pittsburgh? He looked like a linebacker. He looked big. He looked slow. And I don't know if the Bills were considering that. They've got other options at safety if they want to go to Cam Lewis, if they're disappointed in how Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop played. You know, they've got some questions to answer, and a couple weeks in, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in, if they don't have their answers against some of these lesser opponents than Baltimore, then maybe by the time we get to the trade deadline, Joe, we're talking about adding XYZ. Chris Trapasso yesterday was endorsing the idea that the Bills should add Jadeveon Clowney.
Saw that. Yeah, he visited in Dallas but didn't sign. Yeah.
Every time he signs somewhere, he does relatively well.
He's like the best journeyman I've seen in a while.
He's got such an odd career, a former number 1 overall pick that never lasts anywhere.
But he kind of produces.
You know who he reminds me of? I'm going to give you a loose comparison, if I may. He's Thomas Vanek. Thomas Vanek, at the end of his career, Thomas Vanek signed everywhere for a year and just scored 20 goals and left.
Yeah. He'd get traded. Wasn't there a thing where he got traded like 4 out of 5 deadlines? In a row.
It's always like, how come this guy can't land anywhere? 20 goals.
Right. Clowney, since he left, Houston picks him number 1 overall. He spends 5 years there, right? Since then, so that's 6 seasons. He's played for Seattle, Tennessee, Cleveland, Baltimore, Carolina. So 5 teams in 6 years. And there's a 9-sack season in here. There's a 9.5-sack season in here. There's a 5.5-sack season last year. He's actually, I think, a pretty good run defender. Like I could
5.5, huh?
5.5, but again, like there's run defense stuff with him too.
Sure.
Like I could be talked into Clown. My question would be, when do we feel like we'll actually know what they are defensively? When will we feel like we have a good grasp on that? Because the Jets, the Dolphins, the Saints, the Patriots, the Falcons, do I have to wait for the Chief game? How much can they do for people and their confidence in the next 5 games to say, no, that was an aberration, or that's what we are against Baltimore and we got to get better against Baltimore, but against the league, this is not what we are going to be. Or is it possible that they could be like one of the worst defenses in football? Because last year without the turnovers, they might have been that. How bad would they have been last year on defense if they didn't get turnovers?
They're pretty bad. I mean, especially on third down. I mean, the numbers, the rankings were in the 30s. And
horrible. If they are close to the same as what they were on defense last year, but they don't get their turnovers,
and they're in trouble.
How bad is that?
That's pretty bad.
Is that Bengals bad? Is that like bottom 10 bad? Is that bottom 3 bad? Like, it could be really bad, I think.
It could be really good for Josh Allen's statistics.
I mean, it's a great start for his MVP candidacy, 394.
Put up 5,000 yards and 50 total touchdowns if the defense is that bad.
I said before the season, I thought there was no earthly chance that Josh Allen could win MVP for a second year in a row. But if their defense is cooked and he's got to throw for 300 yards every week, a la Burrow, but the Bills make the playoffs and win their division and are like the 1 seed, then he'll win MVP for a second year in a row. First practice of the week for the Bills. Good news, Trey White was on the field. He had not practiced in weeks with a groin injury. He was limited yesterday, so that's a good start. The Bills, though, had a couple of players not practicing. That included Taron Johnson, who's dealing with a quad injury, and backup linebacker Shaq Thompson, who's got a hamstring and hand injury. Meanwhile, other players that were limited, along with Trey White, include Greg Rousseau, James Cook, Dawson Knox, and Brandon Codrington. The Barnes Firm Injury Report brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help, call 1-800-8-million. Brock Purdy could miss multiple games for the San Francisco 49ers, and he is expected to miss Sunday against the Saints. It would be Mac Jones starting at quarterback for New Orleans if he cannot go. Christian McCaffrey did not practice on Wednesday for the Niners. He has been dealing with a calf injury since late last week, at least. Elsewhere around the NFL, Jalen Waddle, who was injured and left Sunday's game for Miami, did practice in their first one of the week yesterday. He was limited. Browns running back Quinshot Judkins, who was a second-round pick, has not practiced all offseason, signed his contract earlier in the week, is expected to return to the team today. Also, Mike Florio is reporting the NFL has begun a investigation into recent domestic violence allegations against Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet sports headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership.
Yes, it is time for instant trivia, followed by another game, and maybe we end with a bet on the bet board.
Oh, wow, this could be like a full hitting for the cycle.
I just found something I was very, very happy about finding.
All right.
So, maybe you saw that Josh Allen won AFC Offensive Player of the Week. The 16th time he won AFC Offensive Player of the Week.
That's crazy.
16.
He's got a season's worth of Player of the Weeks.
Please hold your answers, and I'm going to need one guess out of this.
Okay.
Which current Buffalo Bill has won which current Buffalo Bill has won Player of the Week more than Josh Allen? There's a player on the roster that has won.
That can't possibly
that
be
has
true.
won Player of the Week more times than Josh Allen.
More than 16?
More than 16.
Who's on the team right now that's been around for a long time? It's not going to be. It's not going to be Poyer. Come on. Who has? This is good,
right? Take this to work.
This is really good.
Everybody take this to work. Take this to school. Which Buffalo Bills player has more Player of the Week honors than Josh Allen?
I'm thinking of special teams for some reason. Am I going down a bad path there?
Special teams Player of the Week.
Bass hasn't been around long.
Well, it doesn't have to be a special teams Player of the Week.
I got it. Yeah. I got it. Can I guess?
Yeah, go for it.
Matt Prater.
Matt Prater.
When
you said Tyler
correct.
Bass,
Owen led me to the trough there. And
19-time Player of the Week.
That's
Matt
crazy.
Prater.
Wow. I mean, he's been playing football for like
a long time.
50 years.
Since 2007.
Somebody tweeted a picture of him as like a rookie or something running onto the field, and he looks hilarious.
There was a Matt Prater hype video that went around yesterday from the NFL.
There's a shirt.
That's awesome.
There's a shirt of him being lifted up.
There's a couple.
I mean, how long he's been? I saw a highlight yesterday of him making some important kick for Penn State in 2002.
I was born that year.
There you go.
He can actually say, "Son, I've been kicking footballs longer than you've been alive."
He can literally say that.
That's crazy.
So this gets to the next question and we're gonna transition right from the instant trivia into the cliffhanger game, which is where we guess. The Price is Right. Guy climbs up the mountain. How far? Mm-hmm. I'd like a collaborative effort, guys. How many Player of the Weeks will Josh Allen ultimately finish his career with? Okay?
He's at 16.
He has 16.
Okay.
Will he get to 17?
Yes.
He'll pass Emmitt Smith. Will he get to 18?
Yes.
He'll pass Jason Hansen. You're going to find there's a lot of kickers on this list.
Okay.
Will he get to 19?
Mm-hmm.
That's where Matt Prater, Ben Roethlisberger, Devin Hester, and Joe Montana live. He'll pass.
Wow, okay.
Joe Montana, how long have they been doing this for?
Okay, great question.
Because Montana is 80s.
Yeah.
He is. I don't think they gave it out starting in 1979 when Montana started playing, but Montana has 19.
Okay.
Will he get to 20 Players of the Week?
Yes.
Jerry Rice, LaDainian Tomlinson, Boomer Esiason.
Okay.
Will he get to 21?
Yes.
John Elway. Will he get to 21 this year?
No.
He'll pass John Elway. Next up, 23. Will Josh Allen get to 23 Offensive Player of the Week?
Wait, what happened to 22?
Well, there's nobody at 22, so we're just going up the board.
He'll get to 23, yes.
23. That'll tie him with Morton Anderson and Dan Marino.
Morton Anderson. That's a guy who played like 50 years in the NFL.
24.
Yep.
That's 8 more? Yes? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Brett Favre. Will he get to 27? That's where the active leader is.
Active leader.
Want to guess who that is? Active leader in Player of the Week honors.
Rodgers.
Yes.
Yeah.
27 for Aaron Rodgers and Adam Vinatieri.
He will get to 27.
Okay. Yeah. Will he get to 28? That's 12 more Offensive Player of the Weeks. Unless he gets like Defensive Player of the Week. That counts.
He's at 19 or he's
at 16. Will he get to 28?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He would tie kicker John Carney. Will he get to 32 Player of the Week honors, Josh Allen? That's double what he has right now. Will he double it?
All right, he's 29. He's been at this level for 5 years. That's 34. Yeah, he'll double.
I think I agree with that.
He'll double.
Okay, double. Drew Brees, 32.
Wow.
Okay.
Next up, 37 Player of the Weeks. Will he get to 37?
I might draw the line there. That's a lot more. He's 29.
It's tough when there's Jackson and there's Burrow and there's
right. And at that point, there's going to be some Arch Manning's going to win some.
Like 37. That's 19 more.
I guess the question is, how many is he going to get this year? Like, how is he going to go crazy at points this year?
That's one way. My question is more like, is he still going to be winning these things at like 37 years old?
Right. And he's not going to be running as much at that point. It's going to be all passing if he's still playing. Like he cannot get there. I feel like it's got to be impossible for him to get there.
I'm going to say he doesn't get doesn't get 19 more.
I'll go with yes.
It's another full season,
right?
Plus,
but if he gets like 5 or 6 this year, right?
Because
there's a bunch of weeks this year that he could do it.
Yeah. Do you have like how many he's getting per year? Like, how many did he have last year?
I was just trying to pull that up
because 5 or 6 per year. I guess that is about
right.
No, if he's got 16 and he's been playing at this level for 5, he's averaging like 3 a year.
Right.
So you'd have to increase for sure.
3 or 4.
But they're playing the Saints one.
They're not throwing the ball enough for him to be increasing the rate at which he's winning this thing.
Right.
He's not going to be throwing for 390 every week like he just did.
To go throw for 250 yards in the fourth quarter.
Tell me the Bills' defense is 32nd in the league, and I'll tell you he'll win 10 this year.
Right.
But I'm cutting it off. Josh wants to keep going.
All right, so fewer than 37?
I'm saying fewer than 37.
I agree.
Okay.
Fewer than 37.
37 is?
Is that the all-time lead?
No. It's second.
Is it Mahomes?
No.
Wait, sorry, not Mahomes. Is it Brady?
No, Brady's 1.
Is it Manning?
Peyton Manning is 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Peyton Manning, 37. Tom Brady, 40.
40. So he's got 24 to go.
24.
I mean,
that's going to be tough.
He'll have to play into his 40s.
I'd cut it off at 37.
Okay.
I think 37 is good.
This is where we've done instant trivia, into the cliffhanger game, into Let's Get Stupid.
Sure.
Okay. You have to change the music, though. Let's Get Stupid. Josh Allen gets 41 players of the week. You can reasonably call him the GOAT. He doesn't have more Super Bowls, but he had more weeks where he was the best.
I mean, if he has that many, how many Super Bowls?
Folks, it's a week-to-week league.
I think if you had, in 15 years, some debate with buddies about who the greatest of all time is, and you whipped out how many player of the weeks somebody had, you are getting punched in the face.
Sorry if my guy was simply the best there was the most times. This is actually an award that's more specifically tied to the player. Doesn't matter if your defense is good enough to win with Bill Belichick. You just do player of the week.
Let me ask, does it get mentioned at anyone's Hall of Fame speech? Like introduction.
That is funny.
If it gets mentioned there, you can bring it up.
If you pass Tom Brady, it'll probably be mentioned, right?
I feel like I'm laughing at the guy up on stage at Canton where they're like, and man, this guy at 30 player of the weeks in his career. It's like I still remember when Marty Brodeur once called being goalie of the month one of the greatest accomplishments of his career. Like, gosh. Give me a break.
Come on,
Greatest,
man.
like that's what player of the week sounds like to me a little bit.
They need David Baker to go tell guy, like when he goes to give them the honor, he's gonna be like, you actually won it 37 times.
I would take a different approach to it. Maybe he's not the GOAT because he has 40 player of the weeks, but if he gets the 40 player of the weeks, he's playing until his 40s.
Right.
Okay, but
and then I think because he's played at that level long enough, I don't know what else has happened. How many Super Bowls has he won? It sounds like he's been really, really good for a really long time.
You tell me if the Player of the Week honors.
I'll say, you know what? Yes. I'll say yes, he would be. But not because of Player of the Week. Because that tells me
it has to mean he's won Super Bowls.
Yeah, no, not even that. I mean, I would assume it, but that tells me Josh Allen's playing at an elite level until he's like 40 years old. Well, if he does that,
here we are.
He's in it.
The guy with the most Player of the Weeks has 7 Super Bowls.
Right.
The guy with the second most Player of the Weeks has 2. The guy with the third most Player of the Weeks has 1. The next offense, Rodgers, 1. Next, Favre.
You didn't tell me how many John Carney
Next, Marino, 0.
Okay.
I mean, Marino.
Montana was down the list.
Montana's got 4. So there's not exactly a direct relationship between player. Anyway, like I said, this is more fun than anyone's ever had with the Player of the Week before.
It was awesome.
Can you name the 5 Bills who are on the list for the top 40 of all time?
The 5 Bills all time.
Yeah.
Is Thurman going to be on there?
Thurman is.
Thurman would be my first guess.
He's not on here.
Not in the top 40?
No. Kelly won
an
it.
MVP.
Jim Kelly won it 18 times.
Okay.
Steve Christie won it 16 times.
Okay.
So
Man,
Allen and
kickers.
Steve Christie are tied.
No punter love here? Did Brian Mormon?
Drew Bledsoe won it 14 times.
Okay. Probably mostly with the Patriots.
Bruce Smith 13 times.
How long has this thing been going back?
I know.
That's a good question. I did not find
I haven't heard anybody from the 70s that you mentioned, right?
No, the oldest player I've got is
like you mentioned
Montana.
Rice and Montana, and that's going back to the 80s, but that's the oldest I've heard.
All right, I've got a Pro Football Reference has the earliest ever Player of the Week honors. I mean, it looks like it goes back to, boy, these names. This is remember some guys. As I was scrolling, I just saw the name Deuce Staley, which is just what a victory.
Eagles running back. Yeah, it's Steelers too. Steelers more?
Offensive Player of the Week started getting awarded in 1978.
Okay. Johnny Unitas. He's furious.
Tony Dorsett was the first ever.
Retroactively go back and give Player of the Weeks like college football is now doing with national championships? Like, hey, Johnny Unitas is we're just gonna claim these 50 Player of the Weeks for him.
And in 1978, for what it's worth, the Player of the Week, they didn't do it the same way. It was just the NFL. No AFC and NFC split.
Okay.
And it looks like they didn't consistently give out defense. And if you continue to look at the history of this award at Pro Football Reference, they went pretty consistently into the 90s, and then they split it from NFL to AFC and NFC. Now I'm in the 60s.
But they
AFL Offensive Player of the Week, I think Cookie Gilchrist got it in 1963.
There you go. All right.
I don't know. Anyway, more fun with this than anyone's ever had.
What do you get for this award? Does Allen have like a trophy room where there's just like a bunch of little plaques?
You
or
get
something?
a set of steak knives.
So then he would have 16 sets of steak knives.
You get a paperweight. You get a koozie.
A paperweight.
Imagine you get a koozie. Here you go. It's your AFC Offensive Player of the Week koozie.
Yeah. What if they did?
You
like,
get barbecue tongs.
Do it this way: like you give them, you send them pieces of a puzzle, and there's 41 pieces, and it makes a goat. And if you complete the puzzle, then you're
the goat. Yeah.
That's a way to do it.
I just want to see Brady's trophy shrine, and you walk over and like, what's that? It's like 40 Players of the Week.
Yeah. Did Player of the Week ever get brought up in MVP debates last year? Like, well, listen,
Yes.
Lamar Jackson has 8 Player of the Weeks, and Josh Allen only has 4.
Yeah, it did.
It did?
Yeah.
Come on, it did?
Yes.
I have no memory of Player of the Week coming up, but maybe. We everything got brought up, I guess.
Last year, Josh won it in Week 3 and in Week 15.
Okay.
Lamar won it in Week 5 and 7 and 10. And Josh also won it in Week 13. So 3 apiece.
So Lamar was robbed, is what you're saying?
James Cook won a Player of the Week.
Okay.
Bo Nix won it twice last year. Anyway, all right. We'll move on. 803-0550. So we decided he's going to finish third all-time in
I think
Player
he'll
of the Week?
finish third
All right,
all-time.
No pressure, Josh. Get after it.
You don't want to put anything on the bet board about this?
I wanted to see if you want to go to 41.
I'm not going.
Let's get a real big bet out there.
That's a huge number. He's got to play to his 40s.
Yep. Sal joins us top of the hour. Andy Vasquez on the Jets at 8:30 as ahead of the Bills and Jets game Sunday, 1 o'clock. You can, of course, hear the game here on WGR. It's Thursday. We got a game tonight. You can hear that game here on WGR as well. Packers and Commanders for Thursday Night Football. So yesterday at Bills practice, McDermott, put it this way, concerned, whatever. He's motivated by what happened in that game against Baltimore. They don't have answers right now for Lamar and for Derrick Henry, and they can't prove that they have answers for Lamar and for Derrick Henry until they play them again. But they can prove their defense is not a complete wet tissue. Mm-hmm. They can prove that they don't give up 8 yards per carry. And they went full pads yesterday after a 60-minute game where Ed Oliver says full pads on a Wednesday after a 60-minute game where we had to play all 60 minutes is a little challenging. It's trying mentally to get yourself back. You're still kind of hurting. You put on full pads, you go out there and you compete because that's who we are. So an intense practice to make sure that they kind of get it right. Mm-hmm. You were joking earlier in the week that the Syracuse coach was an idiot for having his players run sprints after a win.
Yeah.
I mean, McDermott's not doing that, but a full padded Wednesday practice after a win, he's upset with the defense. Unacceptable performance from the defense. The one thing I want to know about this defense going forward is whether or not they'll want to add. And yesterday, maybe you're someone that wanted Jabril Peppers from New England, who hit the open market. He signed with the Steelers. And I do not scout football players professionally. I do not watch safeties run in drills and say, this guy can't hack it. Did you see the video of Jabril Peppers in Pittsburgh? He looked like a linebacker. He looked big. He looked slow. And I don't know if the Bills were considering that. They've got other options at safety if they want to go to Cam Lewis, if they're disappointed in how Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop played. You know, they've got some questions to answer, and a couple weeks in, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in, if they don't have their answers against some of these lesser opponents than Baltimore, then maybe by the time we get to the trade deadline, Joe, we're talking about adding XYZ. Chris Trapasso yesterday was endorsing the idea that the Bills should add Jadeveon Clowney.
Saw that. Yeah, he visited in Dallas but didn't sign.
Yeah. Every time he signs somewhere, he does relatively well.
He's like the best journeyman I've seen in a while.
He's got such an odd career, a former number 1 overall pick that never lasts anywhere.
But he kind of produces.
You know who he reminds me of? I'm going to give you a loose comparison, if I may. He's Thomas Vanek. Thomas Vanek, at the end of his career, Thomas Vanek signed everywhere for a year and just scored 20 goals and left.
Yeah. He'd get traded. Wasn't there a thing where he got traded like 4 out of 5 deadlines in a row?
It's always like, how come this guy can't land anywhere? 20 goals.
Right. Clowney, since he left, Houston picks him number 1 overall. He spends 5 years there, right? Since then, so that's 6 seasons. He's played for Seattle, Tennessee, Cleveland, Baltimore, Carolina. So 5 teams in 6 years. And there's a 9-sack season in here. There's a 9.5-sack season in here. There's a 5.5-sack season last year. He's actually, I think, a pretty good run defender. Like I could
5.5, huh?
5.5, but again, like there's run defense stuff with him too.
Sure.
Like I could be talked into Clown.
Week 2 in the NFL on the way. Of course, we mentioned Chiefs and Eagles. And I've got a quote here from Dan Campbell, which I'm just going to double check. Is it, in fact, Lions and Bears? Because that'd be a revenge game, or the your former team game.
Yeah.
And he said, Campbell did, that he's not worried about trick plays playing against Ben Johnson.
Well, he'll get one.
He might.
Right? Doesn't Ben Johnson got something cooked up for him?
Yeah, Bears at Lions, 1 o'clock on Fox.
The stat people and the film people are viciously fighting each other on social media in the last 48 hours. And the new center of that fight is Cam Ward. Cam Ward, who had 112 yards on 12 completions on Sunday. Like, Scott Barrett from Fantasy Points had this. We're like, accuracy rating, like, worst in the league. Like, pressure, like, what he did with pressure, like, worst in the league. And then everybody that watched the film, I guess, is like, he was awesome on Sunday. And he got no help from his teammates. So I looked at those numbers and said, okay, yeah, those are bad. And then I'm like, there's a YouTube video. It's like 4 minutes long. Every pass attempt and rush attempt from Cam Ward's debut. And I thought he looked amazing. Like, the most impressive 12 for 28, 112-yard game I've ever seen.
12 for 28.
Like, he had, final drive, he had like 4, it was Ridley, over and over and over, who could not catch the football for him. He took 2 horrific sacks that took them out of field goal range when they were down 1. Yeah. And I think that maybe inflated how bad his numbers were, but that was his first game against, like, the best defense in the league, and I thought he actually looked really good.
Week 2 always brings a lot of matchups where someone's going to be 2-0 or someone's going to be 0-2. A couple of those games for this week.
Yeah.
Jaguars-Bengals. Someone's going to be 2-0.
Right.
Patriots-Dolphins. Someone's going to be 0-2.
Mm-hmm.
And the next best one of those I think you get is...
Is there another one?
Chargers-Raiders. Somebody's going to be 2-0. We have a Monday night doubleheader this week.
Yeah, 7 and a 10,
yeah.
Right?
Bucks-Texans at 7, Chargers-Raiders at 10.
That's not their normal, like, overlap. Like, because normally they do a 7 and, like, an 8:30 in the past couple of years. So, like, Bucks-Texans, I think, will end by the time. It'll be close. Chargers-Raiders is starting.
Bears-Lions, someone's going to be 0-2.
Bears-Lions, someone's 0-2.
Man, I don't know if it would surprise you if the Bears were 0-2. Lions starting 0-2 would be kind of jarring.
That would.
So anyway, that Bengals-Jaguars game.
Colts-Broncos, someone will be 2-0 is the other one.
Not bad. 803-0550 and 1-888-550-2550. We'll talk with Sal. The recap from a intense practice. Sean McDermott saying they got to buckle down. The defensive performance against the Ravens, no doubt sitting poorly with him. I'll try to bounce back this week. We'll get an update on Tre'Davious White. Talk about it with Sal. And then at 8:30, Andy Vasquez, who covers the Jets. He'll be joining us. So a lot of Jets Bills to get to next hour here on WGR. Bills, Jets. And on the Jets this week, it'll be interesting. Do you have any more respect for the Jets today than you did 7 days ago? Ask yourself that question, and then I have a follow-up question. If the answer is yes, isn't it only because maybe they can score?
I was going to say yes, and I think that's the reason.
And isn't that the case with any team we're talking about the Bills playing? If they can score, we respect them. If the Jets had lost 3-2, we would laugh at them.
We would laugh at that game. We would laugh at them.
Their defense might be incredible, but we'd say, oh, come on. If you can't score, you can't play with the Bills.
Right.
That's talking about the Chiefs, talking about the Ravens, the Bengals. Why do Bills fans respect the Bengals? They can score.
Yeah.
We respect teams that can score. Baltimore can score.
Yeah.
Anybody else? The Rams? Yeah. The Lions. Okay. The Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't score, I don't get out of bed thinking about you ever. And that's the Jets with a big performance on points. I don't know if the Steelers will continue to put up points. They did last week. It's one game. Maybe those two teams are just sloppy, and that game goes into the 60s on the total. But they both scored. And, all right. You have my attention. for a moment, Justin Fields. You have my attention for a moment, Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. This Jets team, when the Bills have played them, we've seen 17-16 and kick returns win in overtime, and 22 points is a good day against the Jets. And I kind of expect this game this week to be higher scoring than most Jets games. The Bills can score.
Yeah.
And the Jets, against this Bills defense, they might also be able to put up points. So 1 week in, and I respect them a little bit more just because of the potential there.
Bills corner Tre'Davious White returning to practice for the first time in weeks with a groin injury. He was limited at practice for the Bills yesterday. They did have a couple of players absent. Taron Johnson with a quad injury and linebacker Shaq Thompson with a hamstring and hand injury were not on the field. A couple other players along with Trey White that were limited. Greg Rousseau, knee. James Cook, hamstring. Dawson Knox, hip. And Brandon Codrington, knee. For the Jets, they had a pretty clean report for their first day. Mason Taylor, rookie tight end, was not on the field due to an ankle injury. That's the Barnes Firm injury report, brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help, call 1-800-8-MILLION. Injuries around the league. News keeps getting worse in San Francisco. They already lost George Kittle for 4 weeks. Brock Purdy is unlikely to play this Sunday against the Saints and could miss multiple games, according to his coach. It would be Mac Jones starting for the Niners if he can't play. Also, Christian McCaffrey was not on the field for them at practice yesterday. He's been dealing with a calf injury. Good news for the Dolphins in that Jalen Waddle was back on the field Wednesday. He left Sunday's game with a shoulder injury, but was limited yesterday at practice. In Cleveland, rookie running back Quinshad Judkins, second-round pick, who signed earlier in the week with the team, missed all training camp, missed all of the spring, is going to rejoin the team for practice today and is expected to play, if not this week, probably next week. Tyreek Hill, meanwhile, Mike Florio reports, a common headline for Hill throughout his career. The NFL has begun a review of recent domestic violence allegations against Tyreek Hill. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership.
Sal Capaccio joining us on the Western Hotline, previewing Bills and Jets. Happy to have you along. Sal, I don't know if you've been watching this morning. Joe's got a fresh new cut.
Got a big, no, haven't.
Yeah,
the YouTube screen.
I'm gonna go to the YouTube page right now, the YouTube channel right now, to see this because I can watch you guys while I talk to you.
It's not just hey, you got a haircut. It's he walked in and all three of us were like, whoa.
Yeah, this was a big.
This is a big cut.
This is a big cut. It was getting long. Like it was at the bottom of my neck.
Yeah.
So curly though. Thanks to our friends at Buffalo Trim who hooked me up there because that was
ironically
that was a
I did
cut.
too.
Yeah, I've been hearing your commercials. We're on YouTube now. All of a sudden, you're getting spa treatments. You're looking better.
Yeah, Buffalo Trim. They do like the shampooing where they like put your hair, your head back. It's like a whole treatment. Yeah.
I'm lucky if I shower. Anyway, no. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. It's a Thursday. We've got Commanders and Packers tonight. Of course, Bills and Jets Sunday 1:00. And Sal, would it be fair to say not like your average day down there for practice on a Wednesday, full pads, and it's week 2 we're entering, but McDermott talking about buckling down. It's pretty clear they're very happy they won the game, but that he thinks they've got a lot of work to do, especially on the defensive side.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, I mean the message was made clear very early on. His quote was, "This week needs to be hard." Like that's the message throughout the organization. What does that look like, though? It's a good question. And I can't remember who asked it. I want to give him credit. It might have been Sal Maron or Jay Skursky, someone up there. So my apologies. One of my colleagues, though, did a really good job to say, what does that look like? And it's not just when he says, like, it needs to be hard, it doesn't mean like, oh, my God, every practice is hard and you're going to go and we're going to work you and, run sprints. Like, yes, you want to have a harder practice, go harder with intent, right? That's what it is. Practice isn't done as a punishment. Practice is done to get better. But the other part of it, the biggest thing I think I took away is hard conversations, like a hard look in the mirror. Like what happened? Where are we? And what do we need to improve on? That's what this week being hard looks like for Sean McDermott when it comes to the Buffalo Bills on the field and practicing. And yeah, they did have full pads yesterday. That doesn't mean that they're going 11 on 11 and, taken to the ground. Right now, we don't watch full practice. Obviously, we go out there. Full pads though, because you need to get right, that's tackling everything, right? Angles. We need to practice how we're going to play, and we need to play how we're going to practice, whatever. But you get the point. Like that's what the week being hard looks like to Sean McDermott, which is everything needs to be intentional on how we go about fixing. Because as Bobby Babich said, no one on the defensive side of the ball in the defensive room thinks what happens Sunday is acceptable.
How rare is it, Sal, that they go full pads like that at a practice, middle of the week?
Pretty rare, but early in the season, it's not like totally uncommon. As the season goes on, there are actually CBA rules, but by a certain time period and how many you can do in a season and after a certain time period and all those kinds of things. So, like, I don't think you could even do this in December, to be honest with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that if you're going to do it, it has to be now. But look, we all know, like, the Bills did not play their starters much at all, really. Josh Allen, but most of their starters just didn't play in the preseason. And they had a lot of guys injured as well. So there were just a lot of reps missed. And part of this is, yes, the way they played on Sunday needs to be fixed. We need to go out there and have intent. Part of it is we are still catching up on reps here because they didn't have as much as they're used to and needed. And I think that showed on Sunday.
Is that kind of how have they sounded to you, whether it's Babich or the couple times McDermott has talked, Sal? How much are they giving off that the problems on Sunday at stopping Derrick Henry was more of that? Maybe like, chemistry with everybody that's out there, communication. We talked about the Ravens running to the line of scrimmage and calling plays quick to take advantage of the Bills in that area. Like, I guess how much of it was more of all of that rather than just guys getting beat, one-on-one in their reps?
Well, I think it's a combination, Joe, really. Yeah, I mean, like, there were guys getting beat, but yeah, I wouldn't look at it. When I go back and watch, it's not like, oh my God, that guy just got beat all the time in this play. There were times where it seemed like maybe one guy got beat every play and then something breaks down because of it. I think everything coming together, right? So it's tough to answer the question, like, how much of it, but It's a good point you make, which is it wasn't just like, oh my God, to a man, we just got beat. This guy got beat, that guy got beat, that guy got beat, right? I mean, Ed Oliver didn't.
Right.
He had a great game,
right?
And there were times where other guys did a nice job. I mean, yeah, I would say the linebackers didn't have a great day, but I remember a couple plays where Matt Milano makes an open field tackle, right? I mean, it wasn't like guys were just getting beaten all across the board. If you look at a couple of those Derrick Henry runs, it's, man, their offensive line just did exactly what they wanted to do to move it down. And now Derrick Henry has a hole to run through, or he squeezes through a hole that should not have been there. And then you get in the open field, and now it's a tough deal for Taylor Rapp or for Cole Bishop to make a tackle. And you could point to different times where guys got beat, but I think it was just the sum of everything that wound up happening with, including what you just said.
Yeah, and it feels like they are very much they're putting an emphasis on all of that as they head into a week where, like, this is not Derrick Henry with Breece Hall, Sal, as we start to turn to the Jets a little bit, but he is a running back who's had success against the Bills. It's like 6.5, just under 6.5 yards per attempt against the Bills in his career. Very different types of runs, but amongst the challenges they'll have in the run game over the year, this is, I mean, maybe second, or, I mean, you have Barkley late in the year, but it's one of the tougher tests maybe they'll have all season.
You're right. They have a really nice running attack after what we saw last week. I thought that their offensive line played way better than I would expect, especially in the run game, but even protecting a little bit. Now Fields is mobile, so he helps out with that. But you look at what they did on the ground last week, 182 yards, 4.7 yards a carry. And that's just not Breece Hall. It's mostly him. It was 107 yards from him. Then you throw the quarterback in, 12 carries, 48 yards for Justin Fields. Like, this is a dynamic dual threat that they have between the two of them. You're going to see a lot of what you saw last week from the Ravens in the Jets. They might run it differently, but you're going to see them basically say, we're going to come at you and we're going to dare you to stop us. And we're going to use our quarterback to get out in space, and he's going to be able to use his legs, or he's going to be able to throw the ball and give him options. So I think that the good news is the Bills just saw something like this last week, right? This isn't like when you play an air raid offense in college and the next week you play Army, right? You know what I mean? And you're like, wait a minute, like, how do we prepare for this? We haven't seen this. The Bills just saw a dynamic dual threat running attack. Totally different, I know, in styles, but they know they have to account for a running back and a quarterback with his legs, and the Jets are going to try to replicate in some way what the Ravens did, and I think at least in that regard, the Bills will be better prepared for it.
Yeah, I was going to ask Sal, like, how different will they look defensively? Whether it's and they can't make many changes from a personnel standpoint, but the approach, the cohesiveness, whether it's linebackers, it's safety, Dorian Strong, if he's still going to be out there, how much different could they really be on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, and we can maybe take a second here to talk about Tre'Davious White because it's a storyline, right? And you brought up Dorian Strong. Tre'Davious White returned to practice yesterday. He was officially listed as limited. I mean, for the time that we were out there, guys, looked to me like he was doing well and moving. I have a bunch of video that I tweeted out and put in my story at WGR550.com if people want to see Tre'Davious White. And he seemed to be doing everything, including tackling bags and going to the ground, right? The gator roll tackle. Like a lot of times when guys come back from injuries that they've missed several weeks, you don't do things like that. But he was involved in everything that I saw, but he was still listed as limited. Now, that said, I did talk to him after practice. I asked him how he felt. He said he felt good. It was good to get back out there, but he didn't commit to, what he thinks on Sunday, and I wouldn't expect him to do that yet. And he really he had high praise for Dorian Strong. He said, hey, from the minute that guy came in here, he's been doing a really good job, and he did a really good job on Sunday. No busted plays, tight in coverage. I would expect when Tre'Davious White is healthy, which very well could be this week, he's the starter. I don't think we're going to a point yet where we're having that discussion. Maybe that's down the road. So I do think that as I sit right here now, guys, I think Tre'Davious White is starting opposite Christian Benford, just the fact that he's already back at practice and he looked good. Okay, so that's one personnel change. Could you where are you going to make another one? Could it be at safety? I don't know. I can't see Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp not starting despite, having some struggles last week. What's the alternative there? Jordan Hancock is back at practice. Is that something that happens eventually? Maybe. I'm not sure that that's something you do right now. He's been practicing, but down the road, right? You do have Jordan Poyer, obviously, in the practice squad. I think that's a break glass in case of emergency. But there are things you have to look at. And then you look at the defensive line. Interestingly enough, they did sign another defensive lineman yesterday, Fedarian Mathis. I don't know if you guys know, but Fedarian Mathis was a top 50 pick in the draft just a few years ago. Like, he was really good coming out of Alabama. It just didn't work for him when he was with Washington. Then he was actually with the Jets this preseason for a little while. But I don't know what this means for what they're trying to do. Is it just helping out the roster just in a general sense? Or do they have plans for Jordan Phillips or Zion Logue to be elevated so they need another guy in the practice squad? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times that could be the case as well because maybe they feel they need a little bit more up front. So I do think that there's possibilities here from the changes to be made.
One thing on the safety conversation, you said Poyer might be break glass in case of emergency. I found it. It was Josh Reed that tweeted it out. Like, to his eye, he thought maybe Poyer's starting to do a little bit more at practice. Mm-hmm. Would you agree, Sal? Is that just maybe a ramp up because he's coming in late and making sure he's in football shape, or would you read anything more into that?
I wouldn't dismiss reading anything more into it after the way the guys played, the safeties played on Sunday. I think there's got to be an element of ramping him up for sure. Right? He's still, he didn't have the training camp that everybody had. These guys had how much since July 23rd they were on the field. Jordan Poyer gets here in September, basically, right? Maybe end of August, whatever the date was, he gets here and he's at the very end. So I don't doubt that there's a ramping up. I also wouldn't dismiss the fact that, hey, well, from what we saw, like we might have to put somebody that we can know that we can trust and know the system and see where that goes. So maybe there is a little bit more to that. I agree, though. I would say the same thing where it just feels like he's doing a little bit more when you watch him out there and, in practice. And I think also just watching Jordan, like I've covered Jordan and known Jordan for years, just the pep in his step. You know what I mean? Like when he came in, like one of the first days, he's like, whoa, yeah, like it was tough. I'm glad I'm out here, but like he's got to get back in here, and it's a little different. I'm not the starter anymore, and Micah told me there's some humble pie to be eaten here when you're on the scout team. So I think there's that mentality of it where you could see that he's getting a little more comfortable in what he's doing out there again.
So also in the injury report, Taron Johnson popped up as not practicing. Should that be a concern at all? Is that's not like a vet rest day or anything? How did McDermott sound on it?
So all Sean told us before practice was Taron Johnson and Shaq Thompson won't practice. Everybody else will be out there in some capacity, which is the case. Afterward, we get the injury report. Now, during practice, Shaq Thompson was out there with pads on, but he still was listed as not practicing. I'm just like, to me, that's like a guy going, I want to practice. And coaches may be like, dude, we don't need you to right now. Just take care of this, right? You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just saying it's kind of funny. Here's this dude that's this vet, and it's like he's not going to practice because he's got a hamstring injury. He's out there with pads on, but yet we still find out he didn't practice at all. We did not see Taron Johnson at all. So from that standpoint, Joe, I'd say a little concerning, but it's a Wednesday. He finished the game. He was in the locker room. He spoke to us afterwards. It didn't seem like I think back and I'm like, I don't think there was anything to be concerned about. He didn't leave the game early or anything. Mm-hmm. So let's just give it to today. We'll see Taron Johnson hopefully back on the field today. That'll give us a little more. The only one I'd be a little cautious on here is you have James Cook listed as limited with a hamstring. He was at practice. He didn't leave the game or anything, but hamstring, running back. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if something happened at practice or if it's just, again, general maintenance, right? Which I'm gonna just err on the side of general maintenance for all these guys who are limited right now, and then we'll see where it goes today.
Are you thinking at all yet about guys that would be getting a jersey on Sunday? If there would be any change between last week and this week? Landon Jackson's the one I want to target specifically here because he's a third-round pick. He doesn't play in the opener. Would you think there's any reason that would be different from week 1 to week 2, or do we think he's a guy who's not going to get a jersey maybe consistently here?
Here's the way I'll answer that with a question. If you put Landon Jackson, if you give him a jersey, who are you taking out? I think there's only one answer. That'd have to be Javon Solomon.
Mm-hmm.
I just
right,
and I guess it comes down to, Joe, does Landon Jackson offer you more than Javon Solomon does in both phases, by the way? And I don't think the Bills would feel that way. Javon Solomon's a pretty core special teamer right now, and he's a better pass rusher. If you want somebody to set the edge and you feel Landon Jackson could do that better, maybe. But I think that would be a stretch right now. I can't see if you want to have 5 defensive ends, because obviously Rousseau, Bosa, and Epinesa are dressing. If you want to have 5 defensive ends, then you can do it. But where are you taking from somewhere else around the roster? Could it be wide receiver? Could. You already had one guy in actives, Curtis Samuel. What if you have 2? I don't know if you want to do that, right? That's probably – so I think it's hard, Joe. I think the only change you can make there, if you wanted to make a change, would have to be a swap of Landon Jackson to Javon Solomon. And then the question is, like, why would you do that, and do you think it's worth it?
Yeah. One other element to this matchup this week, rivalry. Deion Dawkins hates the Jets. Openly hates them.
Really hates
them. Yeah. Names. So if nothing else, Sal, like, you can expect the Bills starting left tackle to bring the intensity because he hates them.
He has said many things in the last few years about the Jets, and you remember the not fight, but I guess going at it in the tunnel with Clemens, right? Wasn't it? It was Clemens.
That's it. Yeah.
That was, and then he went on the podcast like that off season, and he really kind of went after them and some of the words he said, and then we did a Zoom with him later in the summer, maybe it's a contract extension after that, I think it was, and I asked him, I said, like, hey, you thinking back, do you regret anything you said? He said, what should I regret? I'm like, I'm not saying you should. I'm asking him. He's like, no. I mean, I said what I said, and it's continued. And Deion's unfiltered. He's going to say what he feels. And he has a lot of respect for a lot of guys over there, though. He has also said that, right? There's guys in that team that he has a lot of respect for.
Yeah.
It has been some new guys over the years. It has been a new organization in a lot of ways. Obviously, they have a new head coach in Aaron Glenn. It is interesting. Sean McDermott worked with Steve Wilkes, who is their defensive coordinator now. And, guys, you know who the Jets' defensive line coach is? It's Eric Washington, who used to be in Buffalo as a defensive line coach.
Okay.
So he's now their defensive line coach. So one of the interesting dynamics of this game, it's always kind of fascinating to me, is you kind of went up against him and his unit for years in practice, so you kind of know some of the tendencies of how they might want to play, right? Those are always fascinating things to me. The other one is, did you guys know that, like, I'm sure you probably do know, but Harrison Phillips was traded to the Jets, actually, like last month, right? He was traded from the Minnesota Vikings to the New York Jets last month. And he's obviously on their defensive line. He played more snaps than second most snaps behind only Quinnen Williams last week for them on the D-line.
Yeah, 61%. Yeah, I'm looking. Phillips, although as I'm looking at like what their defense currently looks like, there's Michael Clemens, who's still there. And he's the guy I think Dawkins had the biggest problem with.
Yes.
That will be interesting, Sal. We'll do maybe more of this tomorrow with you too, but that defense has given Josh Allen fits as much as any team in the league, but that's Robert Saleh. That's a little bit of different player personnel. You have these changes, these few changes personnel-wise, and then the coaching difference. So I don't. And they are coming off a game where Aaron Rodgers looked good, like 4 passing touchdowns. So I wonder if we'll get a defense that gives Allen trouble at all, because in the past they have.
So interestingly, you said that. We were talking about this in the media room yesterday, and Josh Reed brought this up to me, which is right. That is true, what you say. But ever since Joe Brady took over, his numbers have been good against the Jets.
Yeah.
Right? I'm looking right now.
Right.
So,
there was a blow. The last game at the end of last year, they scored 1 million points.
So the first game, remember the first game that Brady coaches, Jets, right? 32-6, Bills win.
Okay, right.
I'm looking right now. 32-6. So the last few games, he's had a total of 7 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
Okay.
So yeah,
so maybe not since the opener, the Zach Wilson opener, has he maybe struggled?
Yeah, maybe that's right. You mean the Monday night game?
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's right. But it is true. I mean, yeah, I think this is a defense that has in the past done that, and I have a lot of respect for Steve Wilks as a defensive coordinator. I know he's very well respected around the league. They did give up 34 points to the Steelers last week, right? And you wonder, if the Bills after scoring 41, after scoring 41 points last week, here's a defense that gave up 34. But if you look at their numbers, like the Steelers weren't overwhelming, guys. The Steelers had 271 yards. They had less than 300 yards. Yeah. The Steelers went 4 for 10 on third down. The Jets did a nice job overall, numbers-wise. Steelers, they didn't even have 20 first downs. I mean, 19. That's actually a nice number. But I don't look at it and say like, oh yeah, the Steelers, look what they did and how they were able to score on the Jets, because the numbers don't bear out like a team that should have scored 34 points.
Right, they had a couple of short fields on top
of
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Sal. Well, excited for a Sunday 1:00 game. You've got your regular old road trip back at a reasonable time.
Yes.
There aren't many of those.
For 1 week at least, and then we go back to a Thursday night next week, right?
That's right.
And then we have some Sundays after that, another night game after that. And but you're right. And I think it's supposed to be really good weather, but I saw Pat Hammer last night at the awards dinner, and I said, "Hey, we're going to do Friday, and I think we're going to have good weather." And he goes, I'm like, "No, don't tell me that." So Pat's going to give us an update tomorrow on the Extra Point Show about that, because he's like, "Yeah, there's a system coming through. It's kind of depending on timing, but so far right now, it's like looks like it's going to be really nice, but I guess there's a chance that that's not the case." But Pat will tell us all about it tomorrow on the Extra Point Show.
What kind of road representation does the Mafia usually get in New York?
Good. I'll be honest with you. It's not like it is in a lot of these other places where are more kind of destination cities, right?
Yeah.
Destination places, and part of it is that it's New York, and if you're going to choose to go to a lot of places, you might choose to go to Miami or Houston or wherever. The other thing is like the Jets and Giants both have such strong season ticket bases, right? And yes, the Jets have been bad over the years, so they'll sell their tickets. You'll get tickets on the secondary market. There's obviously a lot of Bills fans in the tri-state area. We know that. It's just a little bit different, I think. They do get a very, very good contingent. But when I think about like Miami and what that looks like, I think about last year in LA or in Houston. It's just, I think, easier for people to be able to get tickets to those games and want to say, I want to go to that city at that time. But when the schedule comes out and I see Jets in September on a Sunday, I love it. Like, I just think that's the best time of year to go to New York City.
Yeah, I would echo that. I was at the game last year in the stands, and it was more Bills fans were mixed in. Like, there were definitely representation, but it wasn't quite the same as when I went to Nashville, where I felt like half the stadium was Bills fans.
That'll be Carolina.
Yeah, that's right. And look, I think the other part is when it depends on what time of year you play them. It depends on what their record is.
Yep.
I've been in that stadium where it's just like, okay, like Bills fans are taking over because the Jets are bad. But the Jets played a decent game last week. They're 0-1. It's a division rival. It's Josh Allen coming in. I think people are excited about Aaron Glenn. They're excited about Justin Fields. So I think it'll be a lesser amount of Bills Mafia taking over as you see in most stadiums.
Lastly, Sal, have you decided where your Buffalo Broadcasters Association Sports Pro of the Year, Professional of the Year award is going to go?
I think I'm going to put it next to my Cleveland Hill High School Hall of Fame plaque. There you go.
Nice.
That'll be nice. And I say that to give a shout out to my alma mater, Cleveland Hill High School, because that's when I was a young high school kid, and I've told the story about Art Wander, but that's kind of where my love for this medium and forum took place, and that really shaped my life, and so that I think it would be appropriate to put it there, and I appreciate it and thank you. And what was cool about last night, if I can real quick, was the finalists for this Sports Pro of the Year award were all my friends and guys that are so deserving of it. If I didn't win, and just be mentioned with Josh Reed and John Scott and Matt Bove and Dom Tibbetts was amazing, and that's really cool. And really, really big congratulations and shout out to Matt Bove and Mike Rabier, our producer on It's Always Game Day in Buffalo, because we also won the award for best use of social media for that particular podcast. And I always say, that's not me, that's them. Mike does a great job of the clips that he puts out for us, and Matt does a great job of promoting it as well. So that's a shared award, and so it was really nice last night. It was a great night, great to share it with so many people. Odyssey did such an amazing job cleaning up. Congratulations to all of you guys, by the way. You're a part of it. WGR was Station of the Year, Radio Station of the Year here, and for the Buffalo Broadcasters Association. So congratulations to both of you, because you're a big part of that. And Alan Davis, our boss, our account executive, Stephanie Dulski, won Sales Executive of the Year. David Bellavia on WBEN, Radio Program of the Year. So, Odyssey walked away with some real hardware last night, and that was a really cool thing. And, of course, I want to thank and congratulate Todd Brody, who is behind the scenes on the Bills radio broadcast and also does a lot of our voices and commercials. Listen, everybody gave a great speech. I thought Todd's speech was awesome. And if you get a chance to go see it, you should listen to it. So congratulations to everybody last night who was awarded and honored in some way.
Sal, I'll just make one recommendation for you. If you're looking for a place to keep that, is it a plaque that you got?
It's like it's like a plaque. You see it's a clear plaque.
Perfect. It stands up though.
But it stands up. It doesn't hang on the wall.
Yeah. That doesn't matter. Yeah. Around your neck is where you should wear it, around John Scott and Dom and Matt and Josh. You should rock that thing.
Wear it to practice.
Yes. Today. Oh, hey fellas, what's up? Oh, this? This old thing?
That's a great idea.
That's what you should be doing. All right. Thanks, Sal, and congratulations.
You got it, guys. Thanks a lot. Congrats to you, too.
All right. Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline. Andy Vasquez, when we get back of the New Jersey Star Ledger covering the Jets, we'll get the Jets side of things, how things went in Week 1. They did lose the game, but feels like there's a little boost of optimism by what's going on over there with Gang Green. So we'll check in on the Jets next.
So I do think that, as I sit right here now, guys, I think Tre'Davious White is starting opposite Christian Benford, just the fact that he's already back at practice and he looked good. Okay, so that's one personnel change. Where are you going to make another one? Could it be at safety? I don't know. I can't see Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp not starting, despite having some struggles last week. What's the alternative there? Jordan Hancock is back at practice. Is that something that happens eventually? Maybe. I'm not sure that that's something you do right now. He's been practicing, but down the road, right? You do have Jordan Poyer, obviously, in the practice squad. I think that's a break glass in case of emergency. But there are things you have to look at. And then you look at the defensive line. Interestingly enough, they did sign another defensive lineman yesterday, Fedarian Mathis. I don't know if you guys know, but Fedarian Mathis was a top 50 pick in the draft just a few years ago. He was really good coming out of Alabama. It just didn't work for him when he was with Washington. Then he was actually with the Jets this preseason for a little while. But I don't know what this means for what they're trying to do. Is it just helping out the roster just in a general sense? Or do they have plans for Jordan Phillips or Zion Logue to be elevated so they need another guy in the practice squad? You know what I mean? Like a lot of times that could be the case as well because maybe they feel they need a little bit more up front. So I do think that there's possibilities here from the changes to be made.
One thing on the safety conversation, you said Poyer might be break class in case of emergency. I found it. It was Josh Reed that tweeted it out. Like, to his eye, he just thought maybe Poyer's starting to do a little bit more at practice. Mm-hmm. Would you agree, Sal? Is that just maybe a ramp up because he's coming in late and making sure he's in football shape, or would you read anything more into that?
I wouldn't dismiss reading anything more into it after the way the guys played, the safeties played on Sunday. I think there's got to be an element of ramping him up for sure. I mean, he's still, he didn't have the training camp that everybody had. These guys had how much since July 23rd they were on the field. Jordan Poyer gets here in September, basically, right? Maybe end of August, whatever the date was, he gets here and he's at the very end. So I don't doubt that there's a ramping up. I also wouldn't dismiss the fact that, hey, well, from what we saw, like we might have to put somebody there we can know that we can trust and know the system and see where that goes. So maybe there is a little bit more to that.
The one thing I want to know about this defense going forward is whether or not they'll want to add. And yesterday, maybe you're someone that wanted Jabril Peppers from New England, who hit the open market. He signed with the Steelers. And I do not scout football players professionally. I do not watch safeties run in drills and say, this guy can't hack it. Did you see the video of Jabril Peppers in Pittsburgh? He looked like a linebacker. He looked big. He looked slow. And I don't know if the Bills were considering that. They've got other options at safety if they want to go to Cam Lewis, if they're disappointed in how Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop played. They've got some questions to answer, and a couple weeks in, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in, if they don't have their answers against some of these lesser opponents than Baltimore, then maybe by the time we get to the trade deadline, Joe, we're talking about adding XYZ. Chris Trapasso yesterday was endorsing the idea that the Bills should add Jadeveon Clowney.
Saw that. Yeah, he visited in Dallas but didn't sign. Yeah.
Every time he signs somewhere, he does relatively well.
He's like the best journeyman I've seen in a while.
He's got such an odd career, a former number 1 overall pick that never lasts anywhere.
But he kind of produces.
You know who he reminds me of? I'm going to give you a loose comparison, if I may. He's Thomas Vanek. Thomas Vanek, at the end of his career, Thomas Vanek signed everywhere for a year and just scored 20 goals and left.
Yeah. He'd get traded. Wasn't there a thing where he got traded like 4 out of 5 deadlines in a row?
It's always like, how come this guy can't land anywhere? 20 goals.
Right. Clowney, since he left, Houston picks him number 1 overall. He spends 5 years there, right? Since then, so that's 6 seasons. He's played for Seattle, Tennessee, Cleveland, Baltimore, Carolina. So 5 teams in 6 years. And there's a 9-sack season in here. There's a 9.5-sack season in here. There's a 5.5-sack season last year. He's actually, I think, a pretty good run defender. Like I could
5.5, huh?
5.5, but again, like there's run defense stuff with him too.
Sure.
Like I could be talked into Clown.
Bills and Jets coming away Sunday, 1 o'clock. We just had our check-in with Sal Capaccio. Now we're going to go to the Jets side of things. And joining us on the Western Hotline is Andy Vasquez, who covers the Jets. We've had him before and ready to dig into this matchup. Andy, good morning. Jeremy and Joe, thanks for taking some time today. It seems like even though it was a loss in Week 1, that the Jets or people watching the Jets might feel a little better about how things are looking this year. I'd say Bills fans at least have that look on it.
Yeah, I think, the expectations were so low going into that game for the offense, and suddenly the offense puts up. I mean, I've been on covering this team for 10 years, and that was probably the best offensive performance I've seen from them, which is insane, but it's true. It was balanced. They were able to run the ball when they wanted to, and they had an identity, and that was the thing. This team very rarely has had an identity on offense that you're like, oh, they could go back to this and it'll work. And they did it all game, and it kept working. And obviously that's something to feel good about. But the other thing is, Aaron Glenn, the new coach, was brought here to teach this team how to win, games like that, and the Jets still found a way to lose. So obviously there's progress to be made, but some things to feel good about as well.
Yeah, the end of that game, did it feel like they kind of got, I don't know about robbed? Sean McDermott even said it yesterday, like he felt like they should have won that game. There was that fluky play to Metcalf, a 60-yard field goal. I guess, how unlucky does it feel like the Jets got in some respect?
Yeah, I mean, you could go down the list. There was a couple penalties where, a late hit started the first drive for the Steelers, where they ended up scoring twice in the first minute of the fourth quarter and turned a 9-point Jets lead into a 5-point lead for Pittsburgh. There was obviously the fumble on the kickoff return that got Xavier Gibson, who had the big return a couple of years ago against the Bills in overtime week 1. That got him cut yesterday. And that, allowed the Steelers to score those two. It was right there for them. I mean, they really should have won the game. And that was the thing last year when they got into the big early in the season. They played all these games where, against Denver, they should have won. Against the Patriots that they should have won, and they didn't get the job done. So it's a weird balance. Like, you've got this new regime, and this week's going to be telling how they respond, because there was a lot of this. We were close last year, and then it didn't work out, and they became excuses and crutches and kind of an extension of everything that was wrong with the team in 2022 when they started 7-4 and lost the last 6 once they got into playoff position. So there's still the scar tissue from that, and this is going to be the big challenge for Aaron Glenn is teaching this team how to make that one play that they didn't the other day, because they really should have won the game. They dominated it, and that feels weird to say, but they did.
I've made reference, Andy, a few times to the Jets' hire of Aaron Glenn kind of felt like the Bills' hire of Sean McDermott, where long drought, guy comes in and he's going to kind of reset things his way. And that McDermott team made the playoffs. It's, of course, before Josh Allen shows up and completely changes things around here. But with the Jets, what is a good season? Would it be good enough to just have moral victories, or do you think that they have enough talent that they have a bit of an eye on competing and trying to stay in a playoff race?
I think they definitely have an eye on competing. I think they definitely, especially after the other day, think they have the talent on the roster to compete now. And I think the bar is higher. I don't think, like, after 14 straight years out of the playoffs, after all the frustration of the last 10 years since their last season above 500, and some of the just bad football you've seen, I don't think there's patience among the fan base. I think they want to see progress, and that means they have to find a way to win some of these games. I don't think that means they have to be a playoff team, but you got to get to like 7-8 wins, somewhere in that range, and stop losing games like they lost the other day when you play well enough to win. I think that's kind of what the bar is. So it's definitely complicated. It's definitely like there's not the honeymoon that you would think this guy would get as a former player.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, fans are understandably frustrated and angry after years of kind of having to watch a non-quality product. So I think it's possible, and we saw that identity the other day, if they can build off of that. But yeah, there's going to be second guessing even after this weekend. If they can't find a way to upset the Bills, people are going to be asking questions and if he's the right guy already.
Yeah, and it can turn fast. On that word identity, is that what is it for the Jets offensively? I mean, Justin Fields, journeyman, but looked like he played pretty well. Are they feeding and featuring just Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall? Like what is the offensive identity of the Jets ideally looking to be?
That we're going to run it whenever we want. That's how they feel. That's kind of how they operated against Pittsburgh. And I think the first drive of the game, it was something like 10 runs and 12 plays, and they marched down the field for a field goal. And then they kind of just start setting up Fields off of that with play action and using his threat as a guy who can run better than basically any other quarterback in the league, using that to kind of, put the defense in tough positions where they have to make a choice. So you're going to, let Fields get loose with his legs here. You're going to let him make these throws that, he hasn't always made in the past. And he made them on Sunday. But, again, we've seen ups and downs in his career. And, he has to prove that he can keep doing it over and over again. So I think that's going to be kind of a work in progress. And, for the Jets, it's going to be those throws. They clearly showed the other day they can put him in position to make, those throws that are best for the offense, the easiest throws, but he has to make them. If he does like he did the other day, the offense can be good. But it all starts with the run. It all starts with Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, the three running backs, and then using that rushing attack and the strong offensive line they have, even after losing Elijah Vera Tucker for the season, using that to kind of create gaps and opportunity for Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. Those are their top two pass catchers by far.
And early returns on their rookie offensive linemen are very good one game in.
Yeah. Membu, the number 7 overall pick, PFF had him rated as the highest graded offensive tackle in week 1. That's not just rookies of any tackle in the league on their grades, which is kind of crazy. And yeah, he went up against TJ Watt, didn't allow a pressure or a sack. That's a pretty good start to your career. Yeah. And considering that he lost the guy he's been practicing alongside in training camp on the Tuesday before the regular season opener. So clearly, he's ready. I think the Jets, I think definitely against the pass, protecting for the pass, they're going to be worse off without Elijah Vera Tucker, but the way they've shifted things on the line, they can still, all these guys are still excellent run blockers, and that's going to be, the key on Sunday is, how much have the Bills adjusted after what happened against Baltimore against the run the other night, and, how much have the Jets refined what they did against Pittsburgh, and can they keep that up? And I think that's going to be, what keeps this game close or why the Jets can't hang with Buffalo.
Andy Vasquez of the New Jersey Star-Ledger on the Jets. Andy, thanks for the time, and enjoy the game on Sunday.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Membu, like you said, highly rated. TJ Watt, first game, welcome to the league, shuts out TJ Watt. Mm-hmm. Pretty good. Good start for them.
Highest graded offensive lineman in the whole league.
The whole league, yep. Pretty good. 803-0550, tonight, Commanders and Packers. Micah Parsons' second game.
Parlay time.
Yes, we're going to put one together for tonight. We'll do that. Pick of the week coming up as well. Jeremy and Joe here on WGR.
So I do think that as I sit right here now, guys, I think Tre'Davious White is starting opposite Christian Benford, just the fact that he's already back at practice and he looked good. Okay, so that's one personnel change. Could you make? Where are you going to make another one? Could it be at safety? I don't know. I can't see Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp not starting, despite having some struggles last week. What's the alternative there? Jordan Hancock is back at practice. Is that something that happens eventually? Maybe. I'm not sure that that's something you do right now. He's been practicing, but down the road, right? You do have Jordan Poyer, obviously, in the practice squad. I think that's a break glass in case of emergency. But there are things you have to look at. And then you look at the defensive line. Interestingly enough, they did sign another defensive lineman yesterday, Fedarian Mathis. I don't know if you guys know, but Fedarian Mathis was a top 50 pick in the draft just a few years ago. Like, he was really good coming out of Alabama. It just didn't work for him when he was with Washington. Then he was actually with the Jets this preseason for a little while. But I don't know what this means for what they're trying to do. Is it just helping out the roster just in a general sense? Or do they have plans for Jordan Phillips or Zion Logue to be elevated so they need another guy in the practice squad? You know what I mean? Like a lot of times that could be the case as well because maybe they feel they need a little bit more up front. So I do think that there's possibilities here from the changes to be made.
One thing on the safety conversation, you said Poyer might be break class in case of emergency. I found it. It was Josh Reed that tweeted it out. To his eye, he thought maybe Poyer's starting to do a little bit more at practice. Mm-hmm. Would you agree, Sal? Is that just maybe a ramp up because he's coming in late and making sure he's in football shape, or would you read anything more into that?
I wouldn't dismiss reading anything more into it after the way the guys played, the safeties played on Sunday. I think there's got to be an element of ramping him up for sure. I mean, he's still... he didn't have the training camp that everybody had. These guys had how much since July 23rd they were on the field. Jordan Poyer gets here in September, basically, right? Maybe end of August, whatever the date was. He gets here, and he's at the very end. So I don't doubt that there's a ramping up. I also wouldn't dismiss the fact that, hey, well, from what we saw, like we might have to put somebody there we can know that we can trust and know the system and see where that goes. So maybe there is a little bit more to that.
So Bills, Jets. And on the Jets this week, it'll be interesting. Do you have any more respect for the Jets today than you did 7 days ago? Ask yourself that question, and then I have a follow-up question. If the answer is yes, isn't it only because maybe they can score?
I was going to say yes, and I think that's the reason.
And isn't that the case with any team we're talking about the Bills playing? If they can score, we respect them. If the Jets had lost 3-2, we would laugh at them.
We would laugh at that game. We would laugh at them.
Their defense might be incredible, but we'd say, oh, come on. If you can't score, you can't play with the Bills.
Right.
That's talking about the Chiefs, talking about the Ravens, the Bengals. Why do Bills fans respect the Bengals? They can score.
Yeah.
We respect teams that can score. Baltimore can score.
Yeah.
Anybody else? The Rams? Yeah. The Lions. Okay. The Eagles. Mm-hmm. If you can't score, I don't get out of bed thinking about you ever. And that's the Jets with a big performance on points. I don't know if the Steelers will continue to put up points. They did last week. It's one game. Maybe those two teams are just sloppy, and that game goes into the 60s on the total. But they both scored. And, all right. You have my attention for a moment, Justin Fields. You have my attention for a moment, Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. This Jets team, when the Bills have played them, we've seen 17-16 and kick returns win in overtime, and 22 points is a good day against the Jets. And I kind of expect this game this week to be higher scoring than most Jets games. The Bills can score.
Yeah.
And the Jets, against this Bills defense, they might also be able to put up points. So 1 week in, and I respect them a little bit more just because of the potential there. It's time for the Riverfront Auto Sales Pick of the Week. Brought to you by Riverfront Auto Sales. Don't miss out on the 2017 Chevy Tahoe. Four-wheel drive LT. It's roomy, reliable, and ready for anything this full-size Chevy Tahoe SUV has the power and comfort your family needs. Stop by Riverfront today before it's gone. 1379 Niagara Street. Online at riverfrontautosales.com. Call 716-886-1626. I don't think it's the Tahoe that I bought from Riverfront Auto Sales. Previously, we had a Tahoe.
You'd hope so.
It could
Well,
be.
I guess
we don't currently have it. We had it.
Would that give it more value, like when George bought a car because it belonged to John Voight?
Yeah. I mean, you know what?
Hey, this car used to belong to Jeremy White.
Let me take a look at it. Let me go to the website because if I could tell you based on the color if it's might be. Anyway, it's Chevy Tahoe. Loved ours. It was great. What's the pick of the week? Pick of the week is Chiefs-Eagles. The entire country gets Chiefs-Eagles. Nance and Romo are on the Bills game, by the way.
Where's Chiefs-Eagles?
Chiefs-Eagles, I believe, is Fox.
Oh, Brady.
So the games we get, of course, Bills, Jets, and the Giants and Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
That's the early game on Fox. The Fox late game, it'll be Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady. So a Brady broadcast around the entire country. And then a doubleheader in Monday Night Football, which is pretty cool, too. I don't mind that. Don't mind a Monday night doubleheader.
What's the Sunday night game?
Although I'd rather watch the late game than the early game.
Minnesota-Atlanta is the Sunday night game.
Good. I want to watch some Atlanta. I want to watch a little bit of that. They're 0-1 in Minnesota. Minnesota's defense is legit. Like, if they could keep that thing afloat while McCarthy figures it out and he, around, week 10, 12, really rounds into form, they could be dangerous because Brian Flores and that Minnesota defense are amazing. Brock Purdy's expected to miss 2 to 5 weeks.
Yeah. Mac Jones season in San Francisco.
The ultimate Kyle Shanahan test.
Yeah.
You know what? The Niners do this every year, don't they? It's NFC Championship game or 6-10 because everybody got hurt.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's one of those 6-10 seasons for the Niners because everybody's hurt.
Have their injuries gone on long enough where this isn't like an unlucky thing anymore? Why is it every single year?
Nah.
Purdy, McCaffrey, Kittle, Juwan Jennings in a week. And this is like the 5th time they've had a year get interrupted because everybody gets hurt?
Well, McCaffrey...
Why does that happen to them?
Does McCaffrey always get hurt?
He went a couple years without getting hurt in the middle there. Is that the problem? Do they acquire players that have a predisposed problem that they just don't care about, and then that costs them? I don't know.
That Purdy timeline, 2 to 5 weeks. What's that? Maybe 2, maybe 5.
Turf toe variant is weird. He's got the shoulder thing that he's battling again. It's the 3rd year in a row I read that he's been battling a right shoulder injury.
Yep.
That's not good for your long-term sustainability as a quarterback.
One other thing on the Bills, so the rivalry uniforms are available for purchase.
Yes, I saw your Dion jersey is out there in the wild.
It's not, though.
It isn't?
No.
Because it's not the authentic one?
Yes, there are 2 versions of this jersey. You can buy the cheap version is not cheap. So let me just say the lower and the higher.
It's cheaper.
It's cheaper, but it's not cheap.
Yeah.
And looking at the jerseys, the higher end one, for me, I don't want to spend the extra money, but in order to actually get the rivalries uniform and the one that's worth buying to me, the higher end option is the only one to get because the difference, the biggest difference is in the buffalo on the shoulder. The lower end version looks like a really much lower end version of the buffalo on the shoulder.
Was there a big difference too in how much gray there was on the shoulders?
There's a little
from
bit.
One to the other.
They look kind of different. It reminds me of when the Sabres had the 50th anniversary jersey.
Yeah.
Did they have some that had the really elaborate stitching on the buffalo mane or fur and some that didn't?
Right.
And with it, it's worth it. And without it, I think, man, I know you want to sell some, but anyway, they only had Dawkins in the lower end, which is, again, still expensive.
Gotcha.
And I am constantly worried about if I get an all-white jersey, how long until I get barbecue sauce on that
Just
thing?
get good at taking the
Here's my
stains
idea,
out.
Bills. Here's my idea for the week of that game. To push more of those jerseys, here's what I want. I want to see a contest where 5 players are in that jersey and they all have to eat a full rack of ribs. And then we see who's got the cleanest jersey.
It's a different type of eating contest. It's not how many you eat. It's who's got the cleanest jersey at the end of it is the winner.
You have to eat the full rack, and can you do it without no napkins?
Interesting.
And can you do it without getting food on yourself?
Just keep dish soap in your truck and you'll be fine.
Dish soap doesn't...
Yes, it does.
I'd get to that contest all right, ready, and go. I got it on me.
By the way, at least from the Bills, the Dawson-Knox rivalry series uniform is already sold out.
Okay. I wonder how many they had. It's supposed to be a 3-year thing. I would say if they've sold out,
you've got some time.
Don't worry. They're going to wear them for 3 years.
Yeah, you could buy a Jeremiah Smith rivalry series uniform next year.
He's not coming out next year, is he?
Or 2 years from now?
He's 2 years away.
There's a 0.0% chance, anyways.
Did you see the Ryder Cup shirt controversy?
No.
There's a Ryder Cup Team USA shirt you can buy. It says Team USA.
Yeah.
And the golfer behind it is a silhouette. And that golfer is definitely Rory. Yeah.
You cannot have that.
It's definitely Rory McIlroy.
Really?
Yeah. Google
I'm
it.
looking
Check it out.
That's bad.
There's
if
no
they did
doubt that it's Rory's swing. He has an identifiable follow-through.
That's bad.
And it's Rory, and it says Team USA. Good stuff. 803-0550. Ryder Cup soon, 2 weeks. That'll be exciting. 2 weeks from today, I think, right? Is it Thursday?
That is Rory McIlroy.
Definitely. I told you.
How could they possibly do that?
They interviewed Rory, said, who do you think this is?
You're on the USA shirt.
I know.
That's ridiculous.
Not a good start. Jeremy and Joe on WGR.
My question would be, when do we feel like we'll actually know what they are defensively? When will we feel like we have a good grasp on that? Because the Jets, the Dolphins, the Saints, the Patriots, the Falcons, do I have to wait for the Chief game? How much can they do for people and their confidence in the next 5 games? To say, no, that was an aberration, or that's what we are against Baltimore, and we got to get better against Baltimore. But against the league, this is not what we are going to be. Or is it possible that they could be like one of the worst defenses in football? Because last year without the turnovers, they might have been that. How bad would they have been last year on defense if they didn't get turnovers?
They're pretty bad. I mean, especially on third down. I mean, the numbers, the rankings were in the 30s. And
horrible. If they are close to the same as what they were on defense last year, but they don't get their turnovers,
and they're in trouble.
How bad is that?
That's pretty bad.
Is that Bengals bad? Is that like bottom 10 bad? Is that bottom 3 bad? Like, it could be really bad, I think.
It could be really good for Josh Allen's statistics.
I mean, it's a great start for his MVP candidacy, 394.
Put up 5,000 yards and 50 total touchdowns if the defense is that bad.
I said before the season, I thought there was no earthly chance that Josh Allen could win MVP for a second year in a row. But if their defense is cooked and he's got to throw for 300 yards every week, a la Burrow, but the Bills make the playoffs and win their division and are like the 1 seed, then, he'll win MVP for a second year in a row.
The one thing I want to know about this defense going forward is whether or not they'll want to add. And yesterday, maybe you're someone that wanted Jabril Peppers from New England, who hit the open market. He signed with the Steelers. And I do not scout football players professionally. I do not watch safeties run in drills and say, this guy can't hack it. Did you see the video of Jabril Peppers in Pittsburgh? He looked like a linebacker. He looked big. He looked slow. And I don't know if the Bills were considering that. They've got other options at safety if they want to go to Cam Lewis, if they're disappointed in how Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop played. They've got some questions to answer, and a couple weeks in, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in, if they don't have their answers against some of these lesser opponents than Baltimore, then maybe by the time we get to the trade deadline, Joe, we're talking about adding XYZ. Chris Trapasso yesterday was endorsing the idea that the Bills should add Jadeveon Clowney.
Saw that. Yeah, he visited in Dallas but didn't sign. Yeah.
Every time he signs somewhere, he does relatively well.
He's like the best journeyman I've seen in a while.
He's got such an odd career, a former number 1 overall pick that never lasts anywhere.
But he kind of produces.
You know who he reminds me of?
He
I'm going to give you a loose comparison, if I may. He's Thomas Vanek. Thomas Vanek, at the end of his career, Thomas Vanek signed everywhere for a year and just scored 20 goals and left.
Yeah. He'd get traded. Wasn't there a thing where he got traded like 4 out of 5 deadlines in a row?
It's always like, how come this guy can't land anywhere? 20 goals.
Right. Clowney, since he left, Houston picks him number 1 overall. He spends 5 years there, right? Since then, so that's 6 seasons. He's played for Seattle, Tennessee, Cleveland, Baltimore, Carolina. So 5 teams in 6 years. And there's a 9-sack season in here. There's a 9.5-sack season in here. There's a 5.5-sack season last year. He's actually, I think, a pretty good run defender. Like I could
5.5, huh?
5.5, but again, like there's run defense stuff with him too.
Sure.
Like I could be talked into Clown. Bills at practice yesterday, Jets on Sunday, and the first practice of the week featured Tre'Davious White on the field for the first time in weeks with the groin injury that he's been battling. He was a limited participant at practice for the Bills. There were a couple of other players that were limited. That included Greg Rousseau, who is dealing with a knee injury. Dawson Knox was limited with a hip. James Cook limited with a hamstring, and Brandon Codrington limited knee. Couple Bills that didn't practice, Taron Johnson, quad injury, and Shaq Thompson at linebacker, hamstring. Josh Allen named AFC Offensive Player of the Week, 16th Player of the Week award in his career, which is the franchise record. Also the most in the NFL since 2018. That's the Barnes Firm Injury Report, brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured, for help, call 1-800-8-MILLION. Elsewhere around the NFL, a lot of injuries in San Francisco. Brock Purdy is expected to miss 2 to 5 weeks, battling a turf toe variant. He's also been dealing with a shoulder injury, so it's going to be Mac Jones, it appears, for a little while in San Francisco. Christian McCaffrey also not practicing for the Niners yesterday. Elsewhere around the league, Michael Pittman practiced in full in Week 2 after he sustained an injury on Sunday. And the NFL is investigating Tyreek Hill. There were recent domestic violence allegations against Hill from his estranged wife. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. Sports Talk on WGR is presented by Paramount Plus. Sylvester Stallone is back in the original hit series Tulsa King. This season, Dwight faces his most dangerous adversaries yet, forcing him to fight for everything he's built. Stream the new season of Tulsa King on Sunday, September 21st, exclusively on Paramount Plus.
Last season was a up and down season for me, but towards the end, I started putting it together. I just think I just picked up right where I left off, honestly. You never really could put your fingers on it, but, I just started trending in the right direction towards the end of the year, and I just was looking to build on where I left off last year.
Ed Oliver.
Ed Oliver, who did you see the story that Deion Walker told yesterday? Deion Walker said, right before the Derrick Henry fumble drive, TJ Sanders was about to go in. They were about to put Sanders in. And Oliver, waved him off. I am not coming out of this game right now. And then he forced the fumble. So.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Best game as a Bill.
Yeah. Derrick Henry's not fumbled a lot, by the way.
He had one fumble all of last year, I saw. Although, one fumble or one fumble lost? Because that could just be fumble luck. Last year, he had one fumble.
And didn't lose it.
Correct.
All right.
He had not lost a fumble since he was with the Titans. So not with the Ravens, at least. 2023, he lost one.
As we were talking to Andy Vasquez of the cover of the Jets of the New Jersey Star-Ledger, I went down a rabbit hole to seek the last Jets player to have double-digit touchdowns in a season. How many years has it been, since the Jets have had a player with double-digit touchdowns? The Bills, of course, James Cook did last year. Josh Allen does often,
every year.
Right? The last Jets player to have double-digit touchdowns in a season.
How about did Brandon Marshall do it in one of those years?
Brandon Marshall did it in 2015.
Okay.
And someone else did it in 2015. That's the last time somebody had 10 touchdowns.
Eric Decker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those two each had double digits, and no one has had double-digit touchdowns for the Jets in 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Eric Decker was a nice little receiver there for a while.
Yeah. He was
pretty good. That's the Fitz year, right?
Yeah.
Fitz is just chucking the ball around for the Jets. Has anyone even come close for them since then? Maybe Garrett Wilson's come close. I don't know.
Who has the all-time, you know what? Stat of the day. Let's go with the stat of the day. Because this one is a good one. I like this one quite a bit. It's brought to you by Empire Electric, your residential neighborhood electrician. Visit EmpireElectricians.com. Who has the all-time Jets passing record for yards in a season? Single-season passing yards, New York Jets.
Is it Fitz?
No. Fitz is in second place.
That's awesome. Fitz has the second most passing yards in a
single season. Yes,
single
Fitz
season.
has the second most.
He's only there for like 2 years. Sanchez never threw the ball enough. It's not going to be him.
I turned this into trivia, but it is still the stat of the day.
Is it Geno? Geno Smith?
It's not Geno Smith. It's not Mark Sanchez.
It's not Namath. That'd be too obvious.
It is Joe Namath.
It is Joe Namath?
It's Joe Namath.
50 years ago?
Yes.
Or is it more than that? 60 years ago.
Almost
63 is Super Bowl III, right?
Yeah, he did it in 1967.
No.
Almost
70. Yeah,
almost
70, Super Bowl III.
60 years ago.
Wow. That's tough, man. I mean,
1967.
You haven't lucked into a quarterback at some point that just had.
You don't even have garbage yards.
What did he throw for?
4,007.
He threw for 4,007 yards?
Yeah.
26 touchdowns, 28 interceptions. Second team All-Pro. What were we doing back then? Jeez. So, okay, it's a little bit better than the Bears at least, because at least you've got a guy that's had 4,000. The Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer, right?
Ryan Tannehill threw for 4,000 yards with the Dolphins.
Yikes.
The Jets haven't had a 4,000-yard passer since Namath. I want to give you more names here, by the way.
They're not going to – Fields isn't going to break that record this year. He's not the guy for that. They won't do it under this coach the way he's talking. They'll draft a quarterback eventually.
Other players with more 4,000-yard seasons than the Jets since Namath: Steve Berline, Mark Bulger, Kerry Collins, Brad Johnson, Neil Lomax, Scott Mitchell, Brian Sipe.
These are not very good quarterbacks.
No. I mean, John Kitna has 2 4,000-yard seasons. The Jets have 1.
Maybe they should just, they had to go with Fields. Just bring in Winston for a year. Have some fun, throw for 4,500 yards, and then move on. Do that. They'll draft a guy eventually, right? They're not going to go forever with Justin Fields.
They probably...
What did Fields sign, a 1-year deal? Let me look. Because to me, he's a placeholder.
For sure.
This is the best we can do for now, and we're going to establish a culture, and we'll go get a quarterback at some point in the next couple drafts.
I would, if I was a Jets fan, I would worry about one thing really right now with what they've got going on. And listen, it was the thing I worried about with the Bills, and it didn't end up being a problem. So I was wrong about it for the Bills.
Field signed for 2 years, $40 million.
Okay.
Total.
If I was the Jets, I'd be worried about the Dolphins finishing below me. The Patriots have a quarterback they drafted. They're going to stick with him for a while. The Bills, of course, are absolutely set. Jets and Dolphins, we kind of did this before. Who's going to be the next one to get a promising young quarterback? New England has one who's promising. We'll see where it goes. 1 week in, nothing too great from him, from Drake May. But this is a good quarterback class. And if the Jets play their way to
8 and 9,
sure, then they could be stuck. This is what happened to the Giants. The Giants had bad years and skipped out on quarterback and also hung with Daniel Jones. And the Giants won a random game, played their way out of a top 3 pick. Take Malik Neighbors instead, who he's great. But across town, the Jets have a vision of, careful. You win one too many games, you make it harder on yourself. And, sometimes people don't like to talk about that. But if I were a Jets fan, I'd be encouraged by the coach, but also worried that, is Miami going to get a crack at a quarterback before me? Now, again, the Jets got a crack at a quarterback before the Bills, and the Jets took Darnold, and Bills took Allen. So
it doesn't work.
Like I said, it's not exactly always perfectly linear, but I would be a little nervous.
Well, they play Miami in a couple weeks on Monday Night Football, so they're going to want to lose. Well, I don't know. What do they? Well, I know what they want. Aaron Glenn wants to, he wants to be the Bills. Right, he wants to go 9-7 in his first year and
get the credibility,
which
matters.
That away. Hey, this is going to be different. If you're a player out there, we're not a joke anymore. You should come here, and we're going to go have a respectable year, even if maybe a lot of the players that are there right now won't be the guys they're envisioning winning big with in the future. That's what the Bills did in the drought. There's very few of those players from 2017 that carried over into their division-winning teams. It's Hyde, Poyer, and Dawkins, and Trey White. That's it. The Jets are going to want to go for that. which means they're going to have to either hit on a quarterback in the middle of the draft, or they're going to have to pull a rabbit out of a hat like the Bills did, where they're moving up the draft like 20 spots to go get a guy in the top 10. And the Bills were able to do that once, but you can't always just do that. The Giants tried to move up, right? And they couldn't. So you might be able to, but you shouldn't bank on that. If they want to upgrade from Fields and they're going to go win 8-9 games, that's going to be hard, I think, for them to get up into the draft and get a guy. They'll have to hit on a mid. I'm expecting when they pick a quarterback, it'll be like in the 10 to 15 range. Because I do think they'll be I think they'll be respectable. I don't think they'll be a laughing stock. I don't think they'll be a joke. I think that's going to be like a 7-8 win team.
Well, this week will go a long way for that, right?
Yeah, right.
If they can show some chops against the Bills,
keep it close even.
The Bills are a good enough team where a moral victory might mean something. Sure, they would be 0-2.
Right.
And our conversation with Andy Vasquez a little bit ago, he said, people might come from Aaron Glenn if he doesn't beat the Bills. Well, good luck. They're
going to come for Aaron Glenn for what?
Right.
To fire him?
Right. You're a touchdown underdog at home against a team that's got a much better quarterback. But
yeah,
if they were to knock off the Bills, that would be. I mean, the Bills. What did they do in McDermott's first year? Is it the Atlanta win? They win in Atlanta, and I felt like that was a moment to,
road win against a good team.
Yeah, a team expected to be good. The 2017 Bills. I'm look at that season. Like, when did we start to really get a feel for McDermott? They open up, they beat the Jets in their first game.
I remember a Tampa win. They lose thinking that after, like, they could do something here.
Yeah, they lose to Carolina.
Yeah.
They beat Denver with Trevor Siemian, 26-16.
Yeah.
But it's really on the road at Atlanta to go 3-1. That was it. That's the one. All right.
What's the Tampa win in there? What's
Tampa?
The record
They lose to Cincinnati the bye week. They come back and they beat Tampa to get to 4-2.
Okay.
They got to 5-2. Traded for Calvin Benjamin. Lose 3 in a row, including the Charger game with Peterman. Beat the Chiefs.
Big Chiefs win on the road.
Beat the Colts in overtime. Beat the Dolphins.
Yep. Tyler Boyd.
Yeah. Tyler Boyd.
And you're in.
9-7.
I mean, that sounds like the Jets' dream right now, I think. Their schedule, by the way, so after the Bills, they're at Tampa.
Tyrod Taylor threw 14 touchdowns that year.
How many picks, though? Like 3?
4.
4. Look at that.
How many,
4. He threw less in a season than the other guy threw in a half.
Yeah, but he had,
what a decision.
He had 18 total touchdowns, Tyrod.
That's fine. I mean, who was he throwing to?
No, I mean 14 passing and 4 rushing. 18
right.
total touchdowns.
And they made the playoffs.
You know what? I was thinking about
that was their blueprint was kind of like what it's a much more minimized version of what it was last year, but their blueprint that year was don't turn the ball over. And they had a quarterback who's like historically great at not turning the ball over.
That's because he didn't throw it anywhere. But that's okay.
Because Andre Holmes running routes down the field.
I had a thought yesterday about the Allen, Jackson, Darnold, Baker, Rosen draft class.
Yeah.
True or false on this? Because somebody wrote that it might end up being one of the best quarterback classes ever, especially with Mayfield being fully respectable and Darnold being, well, on his 3rd or 4th stint, but maybe respectable.
He's only on his 3rd. He would still be on a really good situation if his last team didn't draft a guy, though.
That's right.
Yeah.
And, of course, the one guy that didn't turn into anything was Rosen, was a guy that plenty of us did like.
Right.
And
out of the league.
And the more I thought about that, like, why did it work that way? True or false? That's the moment right there, that year, that day, that there is the clear dividing line in NFL history where if you are a quarterback that cannot move athletically, you cannot play. That draft, that's where it happened. Because now what happens after that? Where'd Mac Jones go? 5th of those guys. Mm-hmm. Where'd Anthony Richardson go? 4th overall. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, the entire league decided, pocket passer, not interested. Can't move, can't play. And every quarterback can run now. They can't all run on the level of Allen or Jackson.
Right.
But week 1 saw the most rushing attempts by quarterbacks in league history.
Right.
And rushing touchdowns in league history. Because with that draft right there, 4 of the guys drafted in the first round, 5 in the first round. 1 guy unable to move, gone, never made it. The guys that could run are the best, and the other 2 are athletic enough to survive.
It's funny. I'm looking.
Look at the quarterbacks drafted since.
Yeah, like first-round quarterbacks since that draft. I mean, I count 2 first-round guys that couldn't move, that can't really move.
Mac Jones and
Tua.
Okay.
That's it. But you want to include Burrow? Like, Burrow can move a little, but not like...
Not really. Burrow is the one outlier. Burrow is the guy that he's so good from the pocket.
Right.
But you got...
Like, everybody else could move, like, a decent amount. Not everybody is, like, Fields is in here, and that's, like, a real runner. But like,
you get tools, guys. What you get instead of a really good passer that can't move, I'll take a guy that can't throw the ball right now, but if he can move, I can teach him to throw. You get way more of that than you do...
Right.
Well, he's the most... When you hear a guy's... Oh, this is the most NFL-ready passer in the draft. Oh, like Kenny Pickett, so he goes 20th overall. I'm like, sorry, don't really care. Nobody's motivated to do that. So,
right, pro-ready means what? He's going to come in and he's going to win me 6 games and not be embarrassing.
Right.
Like, and rather take the high upside. That's why, like, when the Colts pick Richardson, like, he's not pro-ready, but you pick Kenny Pickett and it works out to its best ability. What does that look like? He's fine. He's pretty good, and maybe you win 9-10 games a year. Anthony Richardson, that hits is best, the perfect scenario.
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance,
another
same thing, right.
It's the same thing.
That goes as well as it possibly could. What does it look like? It looks like Josh.
Right.
And that happens maybe 1 every 50 times, but that's never going to happen if you draft Kenny Pickett.
Right. It used to be that there were 2 to 3 guys in the league that could move. You had your Michael Vick and then it became, nope, this is now required for the job.
Well, because when Rosen gets picked, like, we weren't done with that yet.
No.
Like, Goff had been picked a couple of years before, and Winston was a little bit of this. He was a pocket guy, doesn't really run.
Yeah.
Like, you still had guys being picked, like Goff especially. Goff was a number 1 overall pick where there's nothing happening there movement-wise.
Right, I thought it didn't matter.
Burrow's not a runner, but Burrow can move around and scramble out of the pocket. Goff was just like, if he's leaving the pocket, like it's something's gone terribly wrong. So, does that guy get picked first overall anymore? I don't think so. He'd have to be like the best passer we've ever seen in college, I think, to have that happen. The other thing with Rosen, of course, is it seemed like he was a jerk, but...
Maybe.
Well, I don't know.
You can be a jerk and play quarterback. People thought Baker was a jerk.
If you're good, right.
I mean, Baker's a different kind of jerk, I guess, but people thought Baker was a big jerk, and they pushed him out of Cleveland, and he can still play, and guys play for him.
Baker runs. Baker's been running more and more as his career's gone on, which is interesting. Like, last year was his biggest rushing total season by, I think, a good amount. This year, he didn't run a lot. Somebody ran. Yeah, he ran 39 yards in his first game. So Mayfield has also turned that up a lot. Like, he is scrambling and using his legs more than ever.
803-0550 if you want to chime in 1-888-550-2550. The Bills are 24-6 in the division since 2020. The Jets are 6-24. The irony would be the Jets have, 3 of those wins against the Bills?
Right.
6-24 against the division, and they have actually beaten the Bills. Will Compton is picking the Jets. What? On ESPN. Busting with the boys' crews up there. Will Compton
Did he play for the Jets?
He's picking the Jets. Even Greeny is picking the Bills. That's tough. He's supposed to pick the Jets as a bit.
The Bills have won 5 AFC East division titles in a row. What should the over-under be on that streak?
Where it ends?
Yeah.
8.5.
8.5?
Should be 8.5.
You think they'll probably win 3 more in a row at least?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, the Dolphins are going the wrong direction. New England might be going in the right direction.
If I could just assume the health of the most important player, the number should be 8.5.
Yeah, New England, it looks like the most they ever won in a row was 9. So that's the number. They won 9 in a row right before the Bills.
I'm just looking for Allen to get ahead of Brady in anything he can. Numbers of AFC players of the week, consecutive AFC East division titles. Just give me stuff to put on a piece of paper. Well, here's why he's better than Brady. I mean, whatever. You're working hard, but something.
Really does have to stink as a Jets or a Dolphins fan when, Brady's done. Finally. He's gone. What is this? Who is this?
Unicorn.
Who is this unicorn? This centaur that is just jumping over my linebackers? What has happened? You traded one in for this guy? That has to be a special kind of hell. Like, imagine if this dude was doing this on the Dolphins right now. After the Brady era ended, and this guy was on the other team. It would be nightmare fuel every single day of your football fan existence.
Get a call in here. We've got Steven in Florida. Hey, Steven.
Yeah, hey, good morning, guys. So last night I was watching Joe Marino's Locked on Bills where he was talking about how, the Bills game against the Ravens and analyzing that with the rookies and everything. But here's the thing. We all know, as great as this comeback game was against the Ravens, the Bills' defense was atrocious. They just could not stop Henry and Lamar till the fourth quarter. So the thing is, looking at the Jets game where they just played the Steelers and they were able to run on the Steelers, they ultimately lost. And a good friend of mine who's from New York City, he said, the Bills look good and the Jets keep finding new ways to lose, because he's been enduring this for 60 years since Namath won the Super Bowl. But anyway, so here's my question. Joe was talking about yesterday how the linebackers was what the main thing he cited, and that's Milano and Bernard, okay, for the horrible, performance by our defense. So my question is, what does our defense need to do to adjust to make sure, because I'm convinced, contrary to the ESPN guy you just quoted, we're going to win this game, but to make sure that we win this and don't let the Jets just run all over us, because something's got to be done with the defense, obviously. So that's my question.
Yeah, thanks, Steven. Adjustment would just be you're not playing Derrick Henry and your linebackers don't get destroyed by linemen. And your safeties maybe can actually make tackles. That's your adjustment, I think.
Yeah, you just kind of you fit your – you know what? I'm going to go look at that Bills' first season with McDermott, because I want to follow up on this idea. Like sometimes your matchup is bad. Sometimes you play bad. Sometimes it's both.
Yep.
Because in that first McDermott season, they lost to the Saints, and they gave up 190 yards on the ground. Mm-hmm. And they benched the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And let's take out the Charger game, because who knows what even would have happened. What do they do against other teams that wanted to run the football the rest of the way?
Yeah, like when they played the Chiefs on the road, very quickly after that.
Yeah, the Chiefs.
What did that look like?
In Arrowhead, the Chiefs ran 19 times for 55 yards.
All right, so there you go. Really good.
Yeah, just
by the Bills' defense.
By the Bills' defense. I mean, not that anyone really thought we would be digging into the yards per carry numbers of the 2017 Bills today, but here we are.
So that means the least talked about Bills-Chiefs matchup of the McDermott era.
It is one thing I've said for years, and against Baltimore, you can't say this, but against the rest of the league, I just don't care about their run defense.
Right.
It doesn't hurt. Rushing yields less, unless it's Baltimore. And then it's different. It's the only team.
What about if we are a week before the Super Bowl and it's Philadelphia?
You might worry about that.
Can I talk you into a second team with them?
I would still probably worry much more about Baltimore than Philadelphia, because Hurts does not run like Jackson. Not in the same way. He's not nearly as much of a threat.
No, but he is great.
He can run, and he's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that he's great. He's got great weapons.
He's a good runner. He's not Jackson, but he's in the top 5.
So if I get right? on the edge, I get Bosa and Hurts. I feel like I'll be okay. Whereas if I get Bosa against Jackson one-on-one, tougher. If I get A.J. Epinesa, maintained his spot.
Yeah, okay, right.
It's just different.
The Jackson second down play that precedes the Henry touchdown on Sunday, where they chase him 10-15 yards backwards into the backfield.
Hurts doesn't
and then he ends up getting 25 yards on that play.
Yeah.
Hurts probably gets to a position where he gets the ball
and
away.
Throws it away.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's gaining 25. So sure, there would be a bit of a difference there, but that is the other team though that is what did Kansas City do in the Super Bowl? We're gonna take away the run, but Baltimore also doesn't have A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, so it's a little different. But that would be the only other one, and you're probably only talking about them if it's the Super Bowl,
right?
Because I don't think Week 17 is going to matter enough where we're obsessively. How are we going to stop this team?
Right. If you played Philadelphia, put it this way: you play Philadelphia. Maybe it's a bad time to talk about A.J. Brown, but if you talk about Philadelphia, would you be more worried about Barkley or Devonta Smith? Because Devonta Smith is their Flowers, and Flowers, by the way, did whatever he wanted in that game too. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just Henry.
Right.
Anyway, 803-0550. A lot of time before they'll play the Eagles.
I hate that game is Week 17.
I
so
also
much.
hate it. I wish it was like Week 6. I hate that it's that far. I agree. Might mean nothing.
If you could swap it with the Chief game right now, would you?
Sure, because the Bills will be resting their starters against the Chiefs 2 weeks ago in the season.
All right, perfect.
We'll get a break in.
We can't show them anything if Trubisky's out there.
True. All right, time to get to the fantastic four-way parlay for tonight's games coming up. Ride with us if you want to. If not, just watch the game tonight. I can't wait to watch this Next Gen Stats broadcast. That's what I'm all about. So eager to see how they incorporate the pocket health and the coverages and all that. It's going to be great. Really excited for it. Jeremy and Joe, Sneaky Joe, here on WGR. So Bills, Jets. And on the Jets this week, it'll be interesting. Do you have any more respect for the Jets today than you did 7 days ago? Ask yourself that question, and then I have a follow-up question. If the answer is yes, isn't it only because maybe they can score?
I was going to say yes, and I think that's the reason.
And isn't that the case with any team we're talking about the Bills playing? If they can score, we respect them. If the Jets had lost 3-2, we would laugh at them.
We would laugh at that game. We would laugh at them.
Their defense might be incredible, but we'd say, oh, come on. If you can't score, you can't play with the Bills.
Right.
That's talking about the Chiefs, talking about the Ravens, the Bengals. Why do Bills fans respect the Bengals? They can score.
Yeah.
We respect teams that can score. Baltimore can score.
Yeah.
Anybody else? The Rams? Yeah. The Lions, okay, the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't score, I don't get out of bed thinking about you ever. And that's the Jets with a big performance on points. I don't know if the Steelers will continue to put up points. They did last week. It's one game. Maybe those two teams are just sloppy, and that game goes into the 60s on the total. But they both scored. And, all right. You have my attention for a moment, Justin Fields. You have my attention for a moment, Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. This Jets team, when the Bills have played them, we've seen 17-16 and kick returns win in overtime, and 22 points is a good day against the Jets. And I kind of expect this game this week to be higher scoring than most Jets games. The Bills can score.
Yeah.
And the Jets, against this Bills defense, they might also be able to put up points. So 1 week in, and I respect them a little bit more just because of the potential there. The one thing I want to know about this defense going forward is whether or not they'll want to add. And yesterday, maybe you're someone that wanted Jabril Peppers from New England, who hit the open market. He signed with the Steelers. And I do not scout football players professionally. I do not watch safeties run in drills and say, this guy can't hack it. Did you see the video of Jabril Peppers in Pittsburgh? He looked like a linebacker. He looked big. He looked slow. And I don't know if the Bills were considering that. They've got other options at safety if they want to go to Cam Lewis, if they're disappointed in how Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop played. They've got some questions to answer, and couple weeks in, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in, if they don't have their answers against some of these lesser opponents than Baltimore, then maybe by the time we get to the trade deadline, Joe, we're talking about adding XYZ. Chris Trapasso yesterday was endorsing the idea that the Bills should add Jadeveon Clowney.
Saw that. Yeah, he visited in Dallas but didn't sign. Yeah.
Every time he signs somewhere, he does relatively well.
He's like the best journeyman I've seen in a while.
He's got such an odd career, a former number 1 overall pick that never lasts anywhere.
But he kind of produces.
You know who he reminds me of? I'm going to give you a loose comparison, if I may. He's Thomas Vanek. Thomas Vanek, at the end of his career, Thomas Vanek signed everywhere for a year and just scored 20 goals and left.
Yeah. He'd get traded. Wasn't there a thing where he got traded like 4 out of 5 deadlines? In a row.
It's always like, how come this guy can't land anywhere? 20 goals.
Right. Clowney, since he left, Houston picks him number 1 overall. He spends 5 years there, right? Since then, so that's 6 seasons. He's played for Seattle, Tennessee, Cleveland, Baltimore, Carolina. So 5 teams in 6 years. And there's a 9-sack season in here. There's a 9.5-sack season in here. There's a 5.5-sack season last year. He's actually, I think, a pretty good run defender. Like I could
5.5, huh?
5.5, but again, like there's run defense stuff with him too.
Sure.
Like I could be talked into Clown.
You know what that song means? No, you don't. That's fine. It means time for the fantastic 4-way parlay. Commanders and Packers tonight. It also means on the YouTube channel, Quad Box.
Quad Box.
Quad Box. What's up, fellas? Quad Box.
How we doing?
You know, hanging out. Ready to try and do something here.
Let's win some money.
So we're using FanDuel. They have a new Your Way tab. Just want to say this. It really does allow you to dial up anything. Instead of just, yes, someone will have a 20-yard reception, you could go to Terry McLaurin. The number is 56 or more. You can dial that all the way down to like 22. 18. Will he get 18 yards receiving? I can bet no. I can bet yes. Like it's, you know.
Yeah, I was looking at that the other day, and there's a lot of stuff.
Dial up whatever you want.
Do all kinds of different stuff.
Should we stick to the regular same-game parlay, though, not dial our own?
I think probably.
All right, same-game parlay. Commanders, Packers. Packers are minus 3.5. They are home. Commanders plus 148 on the money line. Who would like to lead us off?
Joe's the only one at 1-0.
I'll go first. I was the only one who won last week?
Yeah.
That Barkley under was easy money. I'm going to go with Zach Ertz over 3.5 receptions. That is Jaden Daniels' safety blanket. He has 5 or more targets in 5 of his last 6 games. Like he's just got a steady workload. So 3.5 catches for Zach Ertz. I'm going over on that.
What's the number on that?
Minus 125.
Okay.
Is what is being offered there.
You want my pick next?
Is that in the receiving props, not on the...
That's in under player total receptions.
Okay. All right, Owen?
I'm going to take the over in this game. I just think Parsons is probably not going to play a ton still, and I think Jaden Daniels is going to score a bunch, and I like Jordan Love and his receiving core this year.
Over 48.5.
Over 48.5.
Big number, but I like it.
Okay, Josh?
I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin's over on receiving yards, which is 55.5. It's at minus 114, but it feels safe. A lot safer than the first touchdown bet I picked last week.
Yes.
Got to dial it back a little bit this week.
Okay, got that one. I'm going to... What to do here? I know I saw Deebo Samuel had like a really high target share in their first game. They threw to Debo a lot. And tempted to go that direction, but I'm going to keep it simple here. If we're going over, we got to go some game script, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
we already have. We're going to need a lot of commanders because we have two different overs on two different.
Yeah.
So it's going to have to be spread out too.
So we're going to need game script, which means I need somebody on the Packers to score.
Yeah.
Anytime touchdown score, there's not a lot of value in Jacobs here. Give me a Tucker Kraft touchdown.
All right.
Ooh. Tucker Kraft.
He's good.
He is good. That. Mix him in there. If we're going to go over and we're going to get all these passing yards, we're going to need touchdowns.
Yeah.
And Jacobs is too easy of a bet to get 1. The number's not there. I thought about 2 for Jacobs, but I'll just go Tucker Kraft instead.
Yeah, I like it.
I like that.
So, Tucker Kraft. And that is got my bonus bet in there.
I got us
10 to win $110.
Yep. That's what I got.
All right.
Here we go.
Who should Bills fans root for in this game? Does it matter? Who to root for? Where's the New York Times playoff machine? Even though it's the NFC.
Yeah, pick whatever quarterback you like more.
Which quarterback
pick
do
whichever
I like
quarterback you think is a bigger threat to Josh Allen to win MVP. There you go. There's your rooting interest.
Are we still going to do that, though, where we're endlessly
No, I don't care about MVP at all this year, but I'm just saying if people do, like aren't these the next two? I haven't even looked at the odds. Are these guys not next right after Allen and Jackson to win MVP?
Maybe.
Daniels and Love, wouldn't they? Why
it would
wouldn't
make sense to me if they
Burrow's
were.
in that mix?
Yeah, but they're not going to win enough games.
Yeah.
They might.
Maybe they do. These two, though, are on great teams that, like, Hurts isn't going to do it because he's got too much help. These two are going to get all the credit.
Right.
If they win. So, these are 2 MVP candidates, absolutely, to me.
All right. There's your fantastic 4-way parlay. We've got...
I think I want to root for Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love's got some... There's not enough appreciation of Jordan Love out there.
I like Love, but I think Daniels is just so dynamic and entertaining.
He's incredible.
He's fun to watch because he plays like he is sleeping.
Yeah.
He's so calm.
He had a run last week for like 25 yards where he, like, for the final 10 yards, he's like the most casual player I've ever seen in my life.
It's so wild to watch. It's like watching...
He's so chill.
It's like watching Freddie Couples swing a golf club.
Right.
You know, like,
right.
How does he get that club speed? Doesn't even look like he's trying.
It makes me think Carey Price playing goal, too, is another guy I always think of.
Makes
like
it
that.
look
Just
easy.
So calm. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to do the thing. It's over. Don't worry about it.
Future Buffalo Sabres cap dump, Carey Price.
Where did he just got traded? San Jose, I think.
Oh, he did get traded?
He just got traded to San Jose.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
What did I see in this news on the Sabres? Wasn't there a little something... Saw something.
There was a Tuck rumor from over the weekend.
What's that?
Close.
Close?
Yeah, Chad DeNemesis might be close.
Okay.
No, the
Prospects Challenge getting started.
I haven't seen anything else hockey other than the McDavid Prime Minister thing, and that Kirill Kaprizov turned down the biggest contract in NHL history from the Wild.
That was crazy.
For $16 million a year. I think everyone is attributing to he just wants to leave there. But
yeah.
Big money coming in the NHL.
Minnesota's I don't get that. Minnesota's a good town to play in. It's a beautiful state, and like I don't know.
But it ain't New York.
It is not New York, and he
Gonna
might
go
have
to
a
New
little
York.
bit of that Paterka thing, that sort of big city need guy.
I hated that being said because he ended up going to Utah.
I know. That's the annoying thing is like he went to a smaller city
What do you
than
want?
here.
I think his agent tricked him.
I don't know. It's possible.
Salt Lake City smaller? Yeah, I guess it is. 217,000.
Right, like if it was big city and nightlife you were looking for, you went to the worst team in the league.
That's true.
I hope he realizes that before he gets there.
Andrew in Brooklyn. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning, Jeremy. Good morning, Joe. Thanks, guys. Haven't called in a long time, so good to talk to you guys. And I think following along the hockey themes here, what I really want to talk about is how it is so starkly contrasting to talk about Josh Allen in today's kind of Buffalo Bills offense and how it looks like, or how he must feel like he's Dominic Hasek in the 90s, just kind of waiting for Darcy Regier to do something to help support him, and having Lindy Ruff as your coach, praying to God every single day to win 2-1, and hopefully Dom puts up a 950 save percentage. I sit here and as somebody who listened to the Brandon Beane interview live, Jeremy, credit to you first and foremost for how you handled it. I don't know if I could have been as polished as you under fire like that, but my personal philosophy is that I just don't think that Brandon Beane fundamentally understands that he is not giving Josh his number A1 weapon the support he needs in order to win these games 50-40. I think it's time for the Beane regime to understand that it's time to stop taking those half measures and go all in on what you are best at, whether that's the wide receiver training, getting more just pass-catching help. I think that we've done a good job drafting, and I think Keon Coleman's a big part of how this might play out in 2 or 3 years. But I look at somebody like Terry McLaurin being available. How could that possibly be a poor idea for our Bills team, where if our defense is going to get gashed and put up and give up 25 or 30 points regardless, let's go give our A1 weapon the opportunity to go put up 50. That's really what I was calling, and I feel like that must have been how Dominic Hasek was feeling back in the 90s. They're just waiting for somebody to give him a first-line center or a first-line winger that could put up 60 goals in a season and help support and score our way out of this. So I'll hang up and listen to your comments and feedbacks, but thanks, guys, for all you do. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Andrew. One thing that Beane has is I think he has Allen's endorsement, support, belief in what they're doing. And, we'll see what Coleman becomes, Palmer. To me, if you want to go all the way back to that on-air dust-up in May, it did get misconstrued in the post-analysis about it being about a number one receiver, which it wasn't.
Right.
It was about, I think they should have mixed in a receiver instead of like Landon Jackson or Deion Walker.
In like the fourth round.
Or Jackson Hawes and whatever. Like Jackson Hawes looks like a really nice piece to what they're going to do. It was really just that. It was when, it goes back to Diggs, when we thought, all right, Diggs might have a year or two of being elite. Draft somebody. Like have somebody ready. So you don't have to do the Samuel Palmer big. That's what I would do. And that also allows you to, if somebody's not that good, like, I don't know, I'm not to say Curtis Samuel's not that good, but Curtis Samuel was inactive last week. Is he going to play? You're paying him so much money to not play. If you just draft a guy and he can't get on the field for you, you cut him. There's no dead cap. Like, you just can freely move on. So that was a part of it. The other part of it, I think, is, whether or not what they had was good enough. And Keon Coleman on this, I've always... The idea that he could become a number one. If he does, that's amazing. It's wonderful. Yeah. I will lead the charge, if he's a true number one, to say, pay him $42 million. I will lead the charge. And if they're truly of the belief that you can do it by committee, all right. The Packers are doing it by committee in a very, very cheap way. And the Bills are doing it in a less cheap way. So there's a lot of different nuances to that whole conversation. So, I don't know. You called and said wide receiver, which means we talked about wide receiver, which means people are going to say all we do is talk about wide receiver. And that's fine. I appreciate it, Andrew, for the phone call. 3/4 of the way through that game, I thought they were kind of cooked at wide receiver. And then Baltimore backed off, and the Bills made them pay. And Allen extended plays and made them pay. But until then, like what I've really got is Keon Coleman taking advantage of soft coverages and also taking advantage of Allen's ability to extend. I think Keon can be elite at being that target. If they need a 3rd and 5 to extend their season, maybe not. Maybe that's tougher. So anyway, there'll be high leverage moments, and they're going to put a defender on him, and maybe that's Kansas City, or maybe that's, who knows, maybe that's Baltimore. Can he beat that guy? Because he's not going to beat man coverage consistently, so somebody's going to have to. That's Palmer, that's Shakir, that's whatever. Like, there'll be high leverage moments to come. And I kind of like Keon this week, too. We'll see. If Gardner is going to cover Palmer...
You better hope Sauce isn't on him.
Well, I just don't think they would need to. I mean, if you've got a guy over there... If they're going to play man, I've got a guy that doesn't beat man coverage. I'm not putting the best guy on that guy. I'm definitely putting the second best guy and just taking my chances. See, which is what teams did all last year with Coleman, and, you might like Coleman in that matchup.
I'm sure we'll get into this a little more tomorrow. Like, if I'm the Jets, I'd put Gardner on him because I think I can have him totally covered, and he's going to throw it there anyway. And I want my best player over there when Josh throws a ball to a completely covered Coleman.
Their second corner, Brandon Stevens, they paid him a good amount. He left Baltimore. He doesn't have great ball skills. He's not a guy that turns the ball over.
Whereas Gardner, you might think, could go up with Coleman.
That's a little game theory. Put the guy that might take the ball away over there. I do think if you do that, though, then it's a Palmer game.
Gardner's 6'3", 195. He's huge for a corner.
Yeah. 803-0550. The point about, Hasek, the Bills, they needed the help defensively. That's the other part of it, which we didn't disagree with. They needed bodies over there. They needed help over there. And so far, the returns on that are injured, first-round pick. Second-round pick, nothing yet. Third-round pick, inactive. Fourth-round pick, Deion Walker's had a pretty good camp. We're one game in. Fifth-round pick, looking good. It's really early. 803-0550, the phone number. Extendo Sports, and then off to the Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show. And tonight, Commanders and Packers here on WGR.
So I do think that as I sit right here now, guys, I think Tre'Davious White is starting opposite Christian Benford, just the fact that he's already back at practice and he looked good. Okay, so that's one personnel change. Could you make? Where are you going to make another one? Could it be at safety? I don't know. I can't see Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp not starting, despite having some struggles last week. What's the alternative there? Jordan Hancock is back at practice. Is that something that happens eventually? Maybe. I'm not sure that that's something you do right now. He's been practicing, but down the road, right? You do have Jordan Poyer, obviously, in the practice squad. I think that's a break glass in case of emergency. But there are things you have to look at. And then you look at the defensive line. Interestingly enough, they did sign another defensive lineman yesterday, Fedarian Mathis. I don't know if you guys know, but Fedarian Mathis was a top 50 pick in the draft just a few years ago. He was really good coming out of Alabama. It just didn't work for him when he was with Washington. Then he was actually with the Jets this preseason for a little while. But I don't know what this means for what they're trying to do. Is it just helping out the roster just in a general sense? Or do they have plans for Jordan Phillips or Zion Logue to be elevated so they need another guy in the practice squad? You know what I mean? A lot of times that could be the case as well because maybe they feel they need a little bit more up front. So I do think that there's possibilities here from the changes to be made.
One thing on the safety conversation, you said Poyer might be break class in case of emergency. I found it. It was Josh Reed that tweeted it out. To his eye, he just thought maybe Poyer's starting to do a little bit more at practice. Mm-hmm. Would you agree, Sal? Is that just maybe a ramp up because he's coming in late and making sure he's in football shape, or would you read anything more into that?
I wouldn't dismiss reading anything more into it after the way the guys played, the safeties played on Sunday. I think there's got to be an element of ramping him up for sure. Right? He's still, he didn't have the training camp that everybody had. These guys had how much since July 23rd they were on the field. Jordan Poyer gets here in September, basically, right? Maybe end of August, whatever the date was, he gets here and he's at the very end. So I don't doubt that there's a ramping up. I also wouldn't dismiss the fact that, hey, well, from what we saw, we might have to put somebody that we can know that we can trust and know the system and see where that goes. So maybe there is a little bit more to that.
My question would be, when do we feel like we'll actually know what they are defensively? When will we feel like we have a good grasp on that? Because the Jets, the Dolphins, the Saints, the Patriots, the Falcons, do I have to wait for the Chief game? How much can they do for people and their confidence in the next 5 games to say, no, that was an aberration, or that's what we are against Baltimore and we got to get better against Baltimore, but against the league, this is not what we are going to be. Or is it possible that they could be one of the worst defenses in football? Because last year without the turnovers, they might have been that. How bad would they have been last year on defense if they didn't get turnovers?
They're pretty bad. Especially on third down. The numbers, the rankings were in the 30s. And
horrible. If they are close to the same as what they were on defense last year, but they don't get their turnovers,
and they're in trouble.
How bad is that?
That's pretty bad.
Is that Bengals bad? Is that bottom 10 bad? Is that bottom 3 bad? It could be really bad, I think.
It could be really good for Josh Allen's statistics.
It's a great start for his MVP candidacy, 394.
Put up 5,000 yards and 50 total touchdowns if the defense is that bad.
I said before the season I thought there was no earthly chance that Josh Allen could win MVP for a second year in a row. But if their defense is cooked and he's got to throw for 300 yards every week, a la Burrow, but the Bills make the playoffs and win their division and are the 1 seed, then he'll win MVP for a second year in a row. available for purchase on the site where you purchase them. There's a little thing that says selling fast, blank sold in the last 24 hours. For Josh Allen, that number is 2,380 sold in the last 24 hours.
Where do you see this?
I just saw, this is actually from a Dolphins Twitter account. It's like screenshots of NFL.com. And under the Tua jersey, it says selling fast, 36 sold in the last 24 hours. Guess they're not selling so hot on that side of things.
All right.
You might be worried he's going to get replaced by the next time they wear him next year.
We're back tomorrow, 6 a.m. for a Football Friday.
Good luck on the parlay.
Yes.
Doing it.
Enjoy the game tonight.
Did some offense.
We'll have my review of all the Amazon insights. Can I get an AI that mutes out rules analysts? Let me know if you come up with that.
You have a new stats analyst on that.
Yes.
He comes in only every once in a while. He's way better than a rules analyst.
He gives me useful information as
yeah.
opposed to, I feel like I see 2 feet here. Yeah, thanks. So do I. It's like the game's on TV. All right. We're back tomorrow. Cheers.